Good afternoon and welcome to episode 5 of 5 Leagues from the Borderlands. I'm Bryan F. Irving from DH9 Radio and from Gethsemane Games, and I'll be playing a solo game of the Modiphius Entertainment's solo miniatures combat game 5 Leagues from the Borderlands. This is the 5th episode of the Ekanath Panthers campaign. And if you haven't been watching the show so far, I can heartily recommend you go back and watch it. For those of you who have, just a quick recap. So we're about to enter the 6th campaign term of the game, which means all of my warband are now fully recovered. Ekanath has recovered from the injury he suffered collecting firewood last week. And I was fortunate in that the panther that fell was only knocked out and doesn't have to spend any time out. Also, you may notice, if you're particularly sharp-eyed, that Shambhala Market no longer has its plague marker on it, because at the end of campaign turn 5, the plague ended at Shambhala Market, so it's now safe to visit again. So last week we battled with mysterious undead that came out of the mist as we made our way back up to this little nomad camp here, this sort of temporary town. We've managed to recover from the one injury we did suffer in that fight. Ekanath managed to recover from his deadly encounter with firewood. And we are looking forward to starting the next week. Our Panthers champing at the bit. They do like a bit of excitement in their lives. Last week we did try to play it safe a little bit, and that kind of catastrophically backfired, so we might not do that again. Let's go straight into step 1, local events. So roll a D100 on the town events table if you're in a town, or the camp events table if you're at camp. Well, last week we started at a camp. This time we are starting at a town, so we will roll 1d100 on the town events table. See if we can get something interesting. 61. Well, that sounds very much like a number. Oh, got into a fight. Someone in a warband got into a fight with one of the locals. They flattened the yokel, but now the family wants recompense. If you have a friend, you can call on them to speak. I don't have any friends, I'm so friendless. Call on them to speak for you, roll d6 as a result. Otherwise, you must either pay d3 gold marks or forfeit all campaign activities this campaign turn. Oh dear, right. Well, this is not good news, because we've had a bit of a cash flow problem for a while now. It's not disastrous, but we're lower than we would like to be. We've never managed to build our reserves up very high before something like this comes. But never mind. We're going to pay the compensation and apologise reluctantly. Through gritted fangs, we'll apologise. But never mind, it has to be done. So let's do /roll 1d3, and that'll tell me how many marks I have to pay to. Oh yeah, right, okay. So that's us back down to 6 marks in our gold reserve. I think we really need to start looking at selling some things fairly soon, which might, of course, be one of the options for us later in the day in the campaign turn. So let me just find the next step. Step the 2nd. Hard times. During this step, you manage the finances of your warband, as well as track the recovery of those injured in battle. Well, as we know, everybody's recovered now. Both the upkeep costs and healing campaign activities must be performed. So, upkeep costs. As a warband has many associated costs, I read this out every time. You know by now, this is our food, our ale, our accommodation, the replacement arrows, which we keep running out of in battle all the time. We should really buy more arrows. Not something the game allows for as such, I don't think. Anyway, warband size is 5 because we lost 2 people early on and we've only managed to recruit 1 replacement. That means our upkeep cost is also 1d3, so in fact, if I just do an upward 2, again, that's another 2 upkeep, So we're down to 4. That means worst case scenario, we only have enough money for another 2 campaign turns at this rate. So we really do need to try and up our money at some point. However, we can move on. The healing, if any characters are injured, well, we're not, so that's okay. So it's on to campaign activities. In addition to the upkeep costs and healing campaign activities, in step 2, the warband can make 2 campaign activities. Well, I think we could do with recruiting somebody, because we're still a person down, but I think vastly more importantly at the moment is we really need to make some money. So I think we will do some hard work, which is available at any size settlement. Hard work, let me just scroll down to find that entry. So we've passed the hard work, there we go. There's always things that need to be done. Carrying sacks of turnips and repairing fences isn't much work, but it pays the odd coin. I would just like to say, having recently built my own fence, I will never declare that as not much work ever again. Of course, they're talking about repairing it, which is a lot easier than building it from scratch, but even repairing it, it's not as easy as all that, unless you've only got a couple of pills to do, but still. We're going to help the locals out. So we earn 1 gold mark and take an 8+ crafting test in the hopes of doing such a good job that we gain some extra marks, or an extra mark. Well, Kanji does have the crafting skill, so he gets to add +2. So we roll 2d6, and if we score an 8 or better, remembering we get to add 2, so essentially if we roll a 6 or better, then we will gain an extra gold mark. So fingers crossed. Let's see how this goes. 9. Excellent. Somebody is so impressed with watching Kanji whittling away to fill the time that they ask him to make something for them. Could you make this? There's not many woodworkers available in the town, but certainly let's just have a look. And he starts whittling away and making whatever it is this person's asked for. Probably let's say a toy for their child. They're so impressed they give him a gold mark. They already got a gold mark, or the warband already got a gold mark for helping with the other work around town, carrying sacks of grain and feeding the animals and whatnot. So we managed to recover 2 of the gold marks that we spent, which was our upkeep for the round, I seem to recall, and we have 1 more campaign action to think about. So what are we going to do for our second campaign action? I'm just going to scroll back to campaign action. So it's local events there. That's camp events. I think I've scrolled too far. Just need a little. There we go. Campaign activities. So I'll forage for herbs. I can gamble, could boost our gold marks a bit, but that could backfire as well, so I don't think I fancy that one. We could go foraging for herbs, that's a possibility. We've had some success with that in the past. However, we've also, Ekanath managed to turn his ankle and injure his paw last time he went looking. I think that was for firewood, actually, if I remember rightly. So possibly not going to do that. We could go on a mystic expedition. That's a camp, we can't. We could, I did say earlier, we could do with recruiting a new member of the crew. So that's a possibility. Or we could study or train. I'm actually tempted to study and train, actually, because we found we do quite well with 5. 4 we don't do so well with. We do quite well with 5, as long as we're not stupid enough to take on any demons. I think that's a lesson well learned. So let's just have a look at study. This reflects on your experiences can lead to unexpected developments. Make a 9+ scholar test. If you succeed, roll up a random skill on the skills table. You may assign that. Well, we're okay for skills actually. If you have time to sit around, you have time to practice. Select a hero, they receive 1 experience point. Now that might be a good one, because I think we have a couple of heroes who are only 1 experience point off their next gain anyway, and I think Kanji is. He's on 8 at the moment, so let me just check. I need to come back to page 87 once I've checked this. Let me just check, because I think the experience points, I think you get a roll at 9, but let me just check. It might be 10, so I could be wrong. So I'm going to let that sort of help me decide. Enemy materials resolution, it'll be under resolution. Experience points, 193. 193, and that tells me that if you click 193 on the bookmark link, you'll wind up with 188 is what it tells me. Experience points, here we are. Yes, I'm correct. You do get another advancement roll at 9, so I'm going to train Kanji. Kanji's been a busy little panther this time round, because he's also, hold on, I'll just check, 15 is the other ones. Yeah, nobody else is close enough to a roll. So yeah, Kanji's gonna train as well and take 9 experience points, or take an experience point, which takes him to 9, which gives him a second roll on the non-mystic hero advancement table. Rolling D100. Anything could happen here, from gaining a skill to speed increase, increasing agility or toughness, combat skill increase, which would be quite nice. A luck or a will point as well also. And none of my characters have a will point. A couple of them have luck points, but none of them have a will point. So let's just see what we get. 22. So on 22, the non-mystic character gains a speed increase or a skill selection. Now Kanji's already fast. He's one of 2 of the Panthers who are really, really quick. More cheaters really, I suppose. He has a speed of 6 + 3, which means he moves 6 normally and gains an extra 3 if he chooses to dash. If I was to take a second speed increase, that would, let me just take a look. Speed increase, second one would give me an extra 1 in dash. It's not a huge thing, that. So I think I'm going to go for a skill choice. I could have done if I'd studied as well as it happens, but well, maybe that's what he was doing. I know that technically there are separate sections in the game, but in a narrative sense, perhaps that's what he was doing. 195 we're looking for. So, skills may be selected from the table below. I can take Battle-Wise, which can be used to achieve one battlefield objective, seize the initiative, and so on. Useful. Crafting, I've already got. Crafting and wits for Kanji. So devotion, obtaining blessings, enacting rituals, resisting hostile spells. Expertise, dexterity and discretion while avoiding hazards. Does sound like Kanji is supposed to be our assassin, so that's a possibility. Pathwise, navigate, avoid obstacles, especially whilst travelling. Scholar, valuable in situations requiring obscure knowledge, not really his thing. Scouting, awareness of enemy attackers and the surrounding terrain. Well, that could be that could be it. Speed, travelling, wilderness, wits. We've already got wits. Well, I'm thinking I might just take that speed boost, to be honest. None of those really leap out. No, there was one, wasn't there? So expertise. Expertise could be a very useful one for me. Dexterity and discretion whilst avoiding hazards. Scouting, awareness of enemy attackers and surrounding terrain. So I think I'm going to take scouting. It'll be helpful during the infiltration period of certain types of battle. And we're already good at that anyway because we have a number of ferals in our party and they get a bonus to detect when they're being stalked anyway. But I'm going to take scouting anyway. I think that might go down well. So I think I said it was page 87 I needed to go back to once I'd made that decision. So we move on to step 4 in the preparation. Step 4 is trade. Settlement only. We're in a settlement. Good, that's excellent. During this step you can buy and sell equipment in any order you like. Buy anything listed on the common goods table. But only once one of each item can be bought per campaign. Additionally, if you are in a village, you may roll once on the rare goods table. If you're in a town, you may roll twice. I'm in a village, so I may roll once on the rare goods table. Items can be sold for 1 gold mark per item if in a town. Enchanted item, okay, so that's not great, is it? However, I do have a couple of things I don't need, so let me just have a look. I do have jars of spices, actually, which, because they're actually a treasure item, they're worth 4 marks. So I'm going to sell our jars of spices. We're not particularly fussed about spicy food. That puts the warband up to 10 gold marks, which is only 1 lower than the maximum we've ever owned. So that's a good start. Let's see if there's anything else we would like to sell. Well, we don't want to sell any of our silver leaf. Don't want to sell any of our armor, our helmet or shield, bastard sword, great axe, staff, self bows. We kind of pretty much need them. The crossbow we need. We do have more swords than we need though. I could sell one of the fine swords. Do you know, I don't think we're going to do that. What I will do though, as I will go and see if there's anything we can afford. Probably isn't going to be. Wait a minute. You may attempt to call in extra resources from the community. Make an adventure milestone roll. If it is achieved, earn gold marks equal to the dice roll. Or invest in the community. If you're in a hamlet, you may attempt to encourage more people to move in. Well, I'm not in a hamlet, I'm in a village. So I am so tempted to gather in money. You may attempt to call in extra resources from the community. Make an adventure milestone roll. Well, we only have 10 adventure points, and you'd have to roll under whatever the number of adventure points you spent. So it might not be worth us doing that till we can accumulate a few more. So let's move on to step 7, research. You may wish to do step 5 rather, research. You may wish to do some preparatory work for the adventure ahead. Yes, I'm aware I mispronounced that. During this step, you may carry out a roll for connections, or you may attempt to track down a camp or hideout. Well, I'm going to make a roll for connections because we keep coming up against these things that say if you have a friend, and we don't have any friends. Nobody seems that keen on the strange cat people that are wandering around this area, and we would very much like to make a friend, and the best way to do that is in the connections. So let's make a roll on the connections table. We need to score higher than 40 for anything at all to happen. So let's try it. 87. That sounds good. You take the offer of a contract. Right, that's not what we were hoping for. You may take the offer of a contract. We don't have to take the offer of a contract. Okay, so I need to visit page 100 to see what the contract is. The contract is offered to you. Generate the details using the tables below. You can generate all details of each contract before deciding if you want to accept them. If multiple contract, well, only one was offered. You need to roll a D100 twice. The first roll determines the source of the contract. Okay, so we'll roll a D100 to find out who offered me this contract. Some dodgy bloke in a back alley, I shouldn't wonder. 10. Individual. The reward for completion is 1 gold mark, and add a villager friend to your warband roster sheet. Right, well, I've been saying I particularly wanted to make a friend, so offered by individual, reward 1 gold Mark, not the most valuable, but the friend, probably more use to me than that. Okay, so I'm definitely minded to take it, but I'm not taking it till I know what it is, because this got me into trouble in the past. We got overly excited. We said to the patron, yes, we'll definitely do it. What would you like us to do? And then he said, kill the demon of Bleak Hollow. And that is where we lost 2 of our members and had a 3rd injured. So we don't want to fall for that. So we're cautious. Our little ears are kind of flat to our heads, and our eyes are squinting slightly with suspicion as we listen to hear what it is they want us to do this time. Let's find out. 29. Retrieve item. Okay, that doesn't sound too dangerous, he said. So I need to find out more details about retrieve the item. A trinket was lost in the middle of nowhere. It needs to be brought back safely. Location. Add an unexplored location somewhere in the wilderness. Explore the location. If a battle or a potential encounter results, the item will be placed in the center of the battlefield and must be retrieved by holding the field or moving a character into contact with the item during the fight and taking an interact action. Okay. If the location is a delve, the item is always found on depth 1. Success conditions, the item must be brought to the location where you obtained the contract. Okay, so I have to add a location of interest to the map, and that's where this nomad has lost whatever it is this nomad has lost. So let's just scroll out on the map. Well, there is already a location of interest nearby, but this specifically says to add a new one. So I don't want to put all the locations of interest too close to one another, so I'm not going to do that. I might put it along this river that runs through 4 and 5, or I might put it, well, I don't want to put it over by 10 and 15 because I seem to have spent a lot of time over there. So there's already a point of interest, 2 points of interest actually in square 7, so 12 might be an option. But I think I'm going to go for 4. I think I'm going to go for area 4 to put the marker point of interest in there. So I'm going to find a marker that will be appropriate to it. Now we don't know actually what the item is, but this will be something that's retrievable. It's not going to just vanish into the grass. So it's going to be something sort of reasonably sizable. I'm going to use a glowing orange orb as the marker. That's not necessarily what the actual item is. Now, does it mention how long this lasts for? You must travel to the location within 3 campaign turns. Once the item is in your possession, it must be returned to the location where you contracted it with 2 further campaign turns. Okay. Explore the location. If a battle or potential encounter results, the item will be placed in the center. Wow. To explore a location, deal with anything that has been added to your map. Select the location on your regional map that you wish to visit. This can be a delve, a settlement, a hideout, a camp, a monster lair, an unexplored location, which is what we've got, or anything else you have marked. These locations and how to explore them are detailed on pages 93 to 96. This option requires travel first if you're not in the same map area. So I have to travel and then I have to explore a hidden location on page 111 for the travel. Now we have been ambushed in the past whilst travelling, twice now in fact, once by bandits and once by those damnable undead that we put paid to. So let's see if we can manage to get a safe travel this time. Of course we can't. Okay, now single travel rule allows you to regenerate location on the map when playing on a hex mode. After resolving the travel roll, so it's just a case of rolling D100. 80, you see now, the higher you score on this, usually the worse things are for you. It's not always the case. Miserable weather. The weather is terrible and slows your travels. Make a 9+ travelling test. If you pass, you arrive at your destination as expected. If you fail, you cannot travel any further this campaign turn and are forced to camp. Right, okay. Well, I assume we've at least got part of the way out of. So we need a campaign. Sorry, we need a travelling test with a target number of 9. Do have a skill that'll help with that though. That gives me a +2. There we go, 11. A +2 from the Panthers, I think. I've lost it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I've passed. 11 is a pass in and of itself, so we are able to make it all the way to where we wanted to go despite the awful weather that was there. So now we need to explore unexplored locations. At various points in the game you will be instructed to add an unexplored location, which we have. If the text specifies it as near a known location, it did add it the same map. When reaching the location, roll D100 on the following table to determine what it is you find there. The reveal may result in a map feature being added. If so, place it where the unexplored location used to be. If the reveal leads to a location that can result in a battle, such as a delve, you may explore it immediately or choose to wait. If a battle takes place, proceed to encounters. Make sure to update your map with any revelations and finds. Okay, so I need to roll 1d100 to find out what this unexplored location is. So let's give it a roll. D100. 25. Well, I have mentioned a few times that generally speaking in this game, the higher the roll on a lot of these tables, the worse things are for you. So this is looking positive. However, that's a rule of thumb. It doesn't actually stand for everything. Wilderness. Just untamed wilderness. Nothing to do here, but it's very inspiring. Well, there is something to do here, of course, because I'm going to have to search it for that item. So from that, there's no battle to be fought, nothing to worry about. It's just a case of collecting the items by the look of it, as far as I can tell. So that was a lot easier than we expected. However, that's our travel done, which means we're now going to have to camp, and then it'll be our next campaign turn. So we're going to need a roll on the camp, because there was no adventure this round, this campaign turn. So we're now on campaign turn 7. Campaign turn 7. So I've got to go through a lot of this again, but it works slightly differently this time because I start in a camp. Camp events table 61. Well, that probably isn't going to be great for us. 61. 61. Oh, not again, man. Injured while foraging. We're going to have to stop foraging. This is the second time. A random uninjured warband member becomes injured and must recover for 1 campaign turn. So I'm going to do the same as last time. I'll put them in a specific order. So Ekanath is 1, Leonidas is 2, Kanji is 3, Balthazar is 4, and Altran is 5. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever made 5-sided dice, but one of the advantages of using a VTT is you can create any kind of dice roll, really. So /roll 1d5. I've put the cards for my little guys in the order I just read out to you. So all I have to do is count off the number of cards once I roll this dice. 4. So it wasn't Ekanath or Leonidas, they're 1 and 2. Kanji is 3, Balthazar is 4. Balthazar's 4. Okay, right, okay. So Balthazar is out this next fight. So Balthazar, who has a great axe, a self-bow and light armor, as well as some silver leaf, is out this next fight. This next campaign turn. I'm just assuming there'll be a fight. So he's out. I will re-equip, so I'll move his equipment around so that currently Leonidas has a bastard sword, a helmet, and a crossbow, so that's okay. He's also got partial armor. Kanji has a self-bow, an axe, and no armor, so I think Balthazar lend in the armor. Balthazar will lend him the light armor. because we should have 2 suits of light in total, and I think Ekanaths is wearing the other light. Leonidas is wearing the partial. Yeah, Kanji. Light armor. Brackets borrowed from Balthazar. We're really gonna have to stop foraging. It's bloody dangerous. Okay, that's the second turn in a row where we've had somebody injured foraging. Still, at least Ekanath doesn't feel quite so daft as he did last time. Because he was the one that injured himself last time. Now we've seen that other members of his warband can manage the same thing as well. So, step 2, hard times. During this step, you manage the finances, as you know, so the upkeep costs. Once again, it's a D3 for a warband our size, and this time it's only 1 gold mark rather. So that drops us from 10 back down to 9, and we now have to choose our campaign activities. We can take 2 of these, but there must be things that can be done at camps. Now, foraging for herbs is one of the examples, but as you've noticed, we actually suffer nearly as many casualties from foraging as we do from actually fighting, so we might give that a pass. Hunting expedition, I'm not fancying it. Live off the land, yeah, that we might need to do that. A mystic expedition, does sound interesting, I've not tried that before. Pray, scout, study, train. Okay, so I think we're going to try a live off the land to begin with. Subsistence level hunting and foraging isn't glamorous, but it's free. As you hunt for food and some pelts to barter for new bowstrings, your upkeep costs are offset this turn, which means for using that we get that 1 mark back. So we're back on 10 marks again. So that's good, and we have 1 more activity still to try. We can't recruit out here. I was interested in what a mystic expedition might be, so let's just take a look. You set out to find natural resources of magical energy to harness and preserve. Make a 9+ alchemy test. If you succeed, you find a congealed string. Now that's too good to pass up. So Ekanath is going to go and look for a congealed string. Does he have alchemy? No, he doesn't. Does anybody have alchemy? I would imagine if anybody had, it was going to be him. Okay, so no alchemy. So I need to roll a 9 or better to find a congealed string. Strand rather. Strands are kind of magical energy woven into, strands pretty much as it sounds. They only last a finite time. When you cast a spell with them, if the spell succeeds, it burns up the strand. Normal strands also just kind of decay over time, so if you don't use them on 1 campaign turn, they're gone before the next one. You're assumed to collect a minimum of 3 each time, but you know, you've collected new ones. Now, congealed strands differ in that they don't decay. They will burn off when used to successfully cast a spell, but you can just keep hold of them otherwise if you haven't cast a spell, so they don't decay. So you can build up a supply of these, means you cast more spells in a long run. So it's a very, very good idea for us to try and find it. So we're going to roll 2d6, we're going to hope for a 9 or better. Let's just see. 7. Unfortunately, no. We weren't able to find that congealed strand this time. We looked, but we just couldn't find any congealed strands. So that's our campaign activities for the round. What do we do next? Step 4 next. Step 4 would be trade. That's settlements only. We're not at a settlement. We are camping, so we just have to skip that one. We could try. No, we can't try an adventure milestone because they're both the ones that are available at this step in a campaign. Require us to be in a settlement, which we're not. Research. You may wish to do some preparatory. I still can't pronounce that. work for the adventure ahead. During this step, you may carry out a roll for connections, or you may attempt to track down a camp or hideout. Well, we really don't want to find a camp or hideout at this point. We just want to get back with this thing, get paid, make our friend, and then start looking for fresh adventure. We don't want to risk losing this thing that we've got. So we're just going to make a connections test instead. That can be done at a camp. Every character has contacts, people live there, blah blah. Right, okay, so roll D100. 65. If you're in the same map area as a town, you may make the offer. You may take the offer of a contract. I'm not. Otherwise, treat this as no result. So nothing happened. We've got a night's sleep. Well, that's nice. Nice to just get some rest for a change. So moving on, step 6, decide upon your adventure. Choose what you would like to do this campaign turn. The following options detail for the adventure section include. Well, we're going to rest up because as I say, we don't want to lose this. We're in the middle of a job. We don't want to get distracted by something else. So we are just going to try and get back to base, really. Let's see. Features. Safe option if you have multiple injured characters and need to recover. You must be in a settlement. Oh, right, you must be in a settlement to use this. No travel is required. So we can't do that. So all we really want to do is get back to town. So we just want to travel back to town. So that's carry out a contract. Sorry, my mistake. So let's carry out a contract. We're not being offered a new one. We're just carrying out one we're in the middle of at the moment. So we're going to travel all the way back to this nomad town with our found item. We've tracked down the man that asked for us to go and find this item, and we see that intricately worked box, that casket you asked us to find, that little sort of, it's about the size of maybe a large jewellery box. It's locked. We haven't even bothered to look inside it because we were asked not to, so we didn't. We've brought that back. We say we have some great news for you. We've actually managed to find it. It was just lying in the grass where you dropped it. It looks very much like you were attacked by bandits at some point, and as you fled, you've dropped it from the back of your beast of burden. But we found it, so here it is. You can have it back. He's thrilled. He's over the moon to be able to see this thing again. So he gives us our gold piece, and he becomes our friend. So we finally have a friend here. Friends known. I am going to call the friend Suleiman, I think. So that's 2 campaign rounds in a turn where we haven't had any actual dangerous things happen to us, except obviously Balthazar's hurt himself whilst foraging again, but we haven't gotten into a fight, so we're starting to get a little bit complacent. That can be dangerous, as you know. So let's just check and see if there's anything else in this section that needs to be finished off before we start our next campaign round and start looking for adventure, because cats, we are a little bit bored from not having anything more sort of exciting, no opportunity to demonstrate our bravery. So we're going to be looking for that in the next round. However, first things first, decide your adventure, trade tables. Okay, that's it. So we're back to local events again. So this time we are in a town. So this is now campaign turn 7, and we are, sorry, it's campaign turn 8 actually. And we need a local events roll D100. This time it's on the settlement table. 47. How much trouble can we get into inside a settlement? Well, we're going to a fight earlier in the week, so. A scholar is passing through town with his retinue. See, if you take a study campaign activity this campaign turn, you may add +2 to the roll. Well, that sounds good. That sounds like something we might like to do. So, the very first thing I think we will do in our campaign activities that we get to select is probably study with this renowned scholar. I'm going to take this opportunity to do exactly that, but we have to get through our hard times first. So hard times, it is once again a /roll 3d6, that would have been expensive. 1d3, and it's cost us 2 marks, so we are back down to just 8 marks, which I think is where we started today's play session, to be honest. It's a lot of steps forwards to come backwards to where we began, but there you go. So we've spent 2 marks on upkeeping our equipment and replacing food supplies and ale and arrows and so on. And there's nobody to heal now because Balthazar's recovered from his injury of last campaign turn. So we have to pick up there. Can't speak. We have to pick our campaign activities. Well, one of them is going to be to study with this this guy that's come through here. We'd like to learn something from him. So, time reflecting on your experiences can lead to an unexpected development. Make a 9+ scholar test. As you know, we get +2 this round because of the renowned scholar. I'm just going to check and see if anybody's got anything that would give me a bonus to any of that. I think we established last time that the answer to that is no. And we are correct, it's no. I do have a couple of heroes that are a bit short on the old skills though, so maybe they should be the ones doing the scholarliness. Balthazar would be a good example. He doesn't have a single skill to his name, so possibly him. So I need 9+ on a... I've just realised I've been picking skills. It says they're random skill on skill table. See page 24. Okay, I need to bear that in mind. It's supposed to be a random skill, which seems a little odd. Usually you would decide what it is you were studying, but okay, I will go with that. 2d6, trying to be 9, get +2, 7. So no, Balthazar sits through the entire conversation with this scholar as the scholar's trying to teach him things, nodding and yes, yes. Embarrassed to admit that it's all gone completely over his head. He doesn't have a clue what this guy is talking about. He comes out later and Leonidas says, "So Balthazar, what did you learn from the human, the scholar?" I learned I'm not as smart as I thought I was, Leonidas, to be entirely honest. I didn't understand anything he said. Leonidas looks and he says, "Well, this is humans for you. They're a strange breed. It's not always obvious to understand what it is they're talking about. I'll be honest, half the time I don't think they know what they're talking about. Anyway, shall we find something else to do for the rest of for the next few days?" Yes, I think we shall. Balthazar says very enthusiastically, still puzzled over what it was that human was trying to explain. Okay, so let's take a look at what our second activity is going to be. I'm thinking probably work hard again, so we get our marks back up a little bit, because we do kind of hemorrhage cash. Kanji is once again going to try and leverage his crafting skills. See if anybody needs anything a little bit more sort of fanciful done, rather than just carrying some sacks of grain around, which the other members of the Panthers are doing. Kanji's going to try and find somebody who needs, I don't know, something a little bit more skilled. There we are. So we get 1 gold anyway, and if Kanji can beat an 8 with his crafting skill of 2, so I need a 6 essentially between these 2 dice, and he's got 6 or more. 4, so I scored 6 in total, but I needed a 6 plus that too. I needed 8. So no, we only get... Well, this has not been a terribly successful campaign round for us. Kanji just can't find anybody at all who needs anything fanciful done. So he winds up, bored to tears, just hammering some planks back together for somebody. Just repairing a fence and and thinking to himself, I didn't come out 5 leagues beyond the Borderlands just to build a fence or just to keep repairing a fence. I hope we find some more interesting work soon. So let's find out if we do. That was our campaign activities. That was step 3. So step 4, trade. We haven't found anything else to sell. We could look into trying to buy something. So I'll have a look this time, but again we're not terribly well off. But I'm going to go to page 89 just to see, and then we'll start looking to get ourselves into some trouble, I think. So, Ranger's Cloak, Scouting Cloak, these are all very expensive. Set of alarm traps, Spellbreaker Herb, Spring Wind Berries, Fine Wine, Throwing Knives. Well, we could take Throwing Knives and increase our number of missile-armed troops one more place, but I think we will a large quiver. That now, considering we keep running out of ammunition, that sounds useful. So does holy water, given that we were recently attacked by undead. So a large quiver or holy water are both striking me as the sort of things that I might like to take. Yep, I think I'm going to buy the large quiver. That it is going to cost me. Oh no, it's going to cost me more than half of what I've got. Can I really afford to, is the question. Well, can I afford not to, might be the better question. Do you know what, I've got quite a few missile armed troops at the moment. I'm going to put it off till we can build up our money. Now we're going to try and find an adventure that will pay us something that will get us a decent amount of loot. So let me have a look at what trouble we might be able to get ourselves into. So it will be our research step after our trade step, and then decide on an adventure. So page 86, research. So we can roll on our connection table again. 86. You may undertake a quest. Aha! Okay. Well, let's have a look at page 105 and find out what this quest might be. Because quests sound like the kind of thing that might be worth our while, that might get us some money. So let's find page 105 and find it. Occasionally your warband will meet the opportunity to begin a quest. Pursuing a quest will send you all over the map, carrying out the tasks that complete the adventure, before obtaining unique rewards at the end of it all. Whilst most encounters you will face a standalone battles resolved within one campaign turn, a quest consists of multiple encounters that are connected. Quest structure. The quest consists of a series of tasks that must be accomplished, each of which represents a step in the ongoing story. These are generated randomly, and you may need to complete the same type of task more than once. Each task is an obstacle that must be overcome for the quest to be successful. If your warband completes the tasks, it is assumed to be gathering resources, information and items needed to progress. This may include information on how to access an ancient temple, circumvent magic rewards, or simply how to find where you need to go. Quests are not time sensitive. You may complete one task, then carry out different activities for several campaign turns before returning to the next quest task. After completing each step of a quest, roll a d6. If the roll is below the number of tasks you've completed successfully, you're ready to move to the quest finale. That sounds interesting. Shall we give it a go? Whenever beginning a new quest, simply generate the first task using the following steps. So I'm going to open a handout for this and add the handout online so that we can all keep track of this together. And I'm going to call this Quest 1. Set that off. And we're going to find out what kind of quest this is. So when beginning a new quest, simply generate the first task using the following steps. Okay. Step 1, generate a quest task. To generate a task to be completed, including the first one, roll on each of the following tables. Request a location. So task the first. Task 1. Location. And that'll be a D100 again. Yes, it is. Let's see what we get. D100. Quite excited about doing a quest. Sounds bloody dangerous, but never mind. 82. Place an unexpected Place an unexpected location in the wilderness. Once you've explored it, add the quest location to the same map area. If you find a delve, you need only... Okay, so I need an unexplored location. So, now it doesn't really say which square, so I am tempted, if I'm honest, just to randomly roll. We have, I think, 20. So I could just randomly roll a d20 and place my quest marker in that. Couldn't I? Let's do that. Shall we do that? I will do that. So it happens in square 18. So it's in here. So I need yet another quest marker. Let's take a red one this time, and I'll just plot that on the wrong square. I accidentally let go of the mouse and it's just vanished. So let's try that again. So square 18. Save that off, and we have our quest marker down here in area 18. So everyone needs something. You cannot undertake 2 quests at the same time. I don't need to worry about that. It's a quest task. The second role determines the type of task you'll be completing. Note that each task still carries the normal objectives for the scenario type, and completing these will award you the loot as normal. Okay, that's what we're interested in, if we're entirely honest. We're trying to pretend we have a higher calling, but we're in it for the money at the moment. Or the kibbles, perhaps. Cat treats, greenies. We're in it for the dreams. 100. 1. Okay. Locate an artifact. At the location, fight a site battle scenario. Every time you uncover an exploration marker, roll 1d6. If the roll is equal to or below the number of the marker you have uncovered so far, you have located the artifact. If the last marker on the table does not reveal the artifact, randomly select an enemy leader. They carry that quest item. If all enemy leaders are already slain, select any remaining enemy. A fleeing enemy will drop the artifact in order to escape. Once you've acquired the artifact, you may retreat safely at any time. For quick play, take the first task on this table that you've not yet attempted. Oh, okay. Right, okay. Well, I'm not doing quick play. You might have noticed. So quest foes. Once you've arrived at the location, you roll to determine what foe awaits you. Okay, so that is page 109. So I'm going to have to arrive at that location first though. So that means, first things first, I have to do some travelling. And I could get myself into bother during the travelling as well. So I'm just going to move myself, because we're going to set off. We're going to equip ourselves roughly as we were, but with the swapsies I mentioned earlier. Although I don't need to do that swapsy now, because that was another campaign turn back. Balthazar's back in the fight. So actually, I think Balthazar will take his armour back. And Kanji will continue without the armour. I hope I don't regret that decision. But we need to make a travel roll first thing, and then I need to come back to page 109. So let's see if anything happens whilst we're travelling first of all. So a nice low roll for this would be ideal, because we're in the middle of something and we'd rather not get interrupted. Instead we roll a 61, which means we see something in the distance at an unexplored location to your regional map. You may opt to go there now or continue on your original destination. Well, we're going to leave it for now. I'll just put a marker in so that we know there's an unexplored location. So I'll put a blue orb over here, and I'll mark that as unexplored location. Unexplored location. So we notice there's something out there. There's something that might be interesting to us, but we're focused on this quest. We've been given a quest to do. We're going to at least get it started. We reluctantly travel on, but we make a mental note of that to come back and investigate it at a later date. Quest 4 I need to generate now. So once you arrive at the location, you roll to determine what foe awaits you. Quest enemies are always chosen from the threat tables unused by the campaign region. threat tables unused by the campaign region. Okay. Write down the 5 threats that were not selected when setting up your campaign and randomly select one that you have not yet faced. Okay, so I'm going to have to find out what my enemy is and what the battle site is. It's a site battle, I know that. So we're going to go over to a brief break and I will return, having warped time, with the quest ready to go, and in the second half of the show we'll do our first fight of the episode as we begin our quest for whatever this item might be. I'll see you in just a few moments' time. Fallen Kingdom, Traitor's Fate. For almost a year now, the once prosperous kingdom of Alidon has languished under the boot of the usurper, the Witch King Modrain. Once a member of the King's Council and trusted advisor to the former king, Modrain manoeuvred his pieces well before he struck. Striking bargains with witches and demons, the usurper installed those who had secret loyalties to him in half of the noble houses of the kingdom. And when the time came, those that did not bow to him vanished or were slain. Treachery and power plays are commonplace in the Fallen Kingdom, and several factions have risen against the usurper, from the Kingsworn to the Ravens. But can they put aside their own differences to unite against Modrain? A live stream by Gethsemane Games. Games Master Bryan F. Irving from Gethsemane Games and DH9 Radio. The cast of players: Jenny Savall, Mark Savall, Lars Hagman, Marie McGowan Irving, Ben Watson. Music by the DH9 Radio production unit, Kevin McLeod at Incompetech.com, and Tabletop Audio. Maps by Bryan F. Irving using Campaign Cartographer 3 by Pro Fantasy Software. You can see the live play stream of Fallen Kingdom Traitor's Fate on the Gethsemane Games YouTube channel. Also, coming soon, Fallen Kingdom Rising Waters, Season 2 of our Fallen Kingdom live stream. Note that although the world of Fallen Kingdom is created by Gethsemane Games, the rule system we've chosen to use for these live streams is by our friends over at Green Ronin Games and is Fantasy Age. Okay, welcome back after that short break, and I've done all the setup we need to do ready for our site battle, which is coming up next. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. Site battle is one of the more complicated battle types or encounter types of all the ones I've done. So let's see how many mistakes I make doing this one. Now, one thing I did notice when I was doing this is in a previous game where it said the enemy starts as unknown enemy markers, I found a section in the rules that explains that means only 3 of the standard troops are removed and they are replaced with a single marker. So where I had 2 markers, it should have been 3 troops plus a marker. And those other 3 troops, the second group of 3 that I spent all that time pretending I couldn't see, I could have reacted to differently. But that's okay, because I think that was quite an exciting fight because of it. So that worked quite well. But it does mean that for this one, I've set it up correctly. We have known troops and unknown troops. Now I say known troops, but technically they're only known once I see them. We're kind of unaware of them, they're unaware of us, which means until they become aware of us, their movement is a little bit more random. But there are a lot of special rules involved around this site battle. So I'm just going to show you the overall site. That's the site there as it stands. Not the toughest of enemies we rolled, so the largest numbers I should say. They might be a little bit tougher, a little bit faster than us. The toughness is a little bit higher than us as a default, so it could be challenging. But they do start unaware of us. Now this here will be their unknown foe marker. It could be anything under there from 1 to 5 enemies. And then we also have 3 enemies up here. And when I initially rolled, you roll a d6 and add whatever it is for the enemy type. It's +1 in this case. So I rolled a total of 5 +1 for 6. 6 enemies, you have to sacrifice 3 to get an unknown token marker, which means it can either be tougher or less tough. You won't know till you flip that marker, then we'll find out. Okay, the enemies in this one are the Ancient Kin. And I specifically rolled a type of ancient kin, which means they have the blood of the ancients running through them, but they look mostly human, but have slightly discoloured skin and black within black staring eyes that don't blink, so they're a little bit unnerving to see. But let's just see what they're like to fight. Hopefully not as bad as that demon we had to fight not so long back. Okay, so the next special rule here is first move. One of the warband, we did see this with the demon actually, one of the warband members should be selected to scout ahead and get the lay of the land. Before regular gameplay begins, select a warband member and move them a single normal move, then roll 1d100 for a sight reaction table. So it's not exactly the same as we did with the demon, but it's a similar sort of concept. Now I'm going to make that scout the same person. It's going to be Ekanath, our band leader, our mystic. He's brave for a mystic, he really is. He's also extremely curious, so he's going to go first. So standard move of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and he begins climbing these quasi-natural stairs, this flowstone stair in the wall. You'll notice we've come into this site through this long, narrow, unguarded passageway. We're getting more and more suspicious the further we get in, because something's out there. So that's my standard move. I now need to roll a d100 to find out what the sight reaction is. So between 1 and 15, that'll be just another D on the job. The place smells of danger, but then everything tends to. No special adjustments take place. All the way up to 91 to 100. A quiet entrance, you've found an entry point that should be fairly safe after placing all of your enemies. During step 4, you may take one group of 3 enemies and move them to the centre of the table. There's foes lurk, there's all sorts of stuff. So this tends to be kind of the central numbers tend to be the more dangerous ones. So let's just have a look at what we get. D100. 43. 43 undiscovered depths. The place has rested silent and forgotten for a long time. Excuse me. Place 3 additional exploration markers on the table near the 3 largest terrain features or rooms. Okay, so I need to place another 3 exploration markers. We're running out of space on this, to be honest, because I've already got a lot of exploration markers and I'm just going to copy one. So, copy this one. And I have to place 3 of them. It's going to be near the... Well, okay, so there's... is there one in this room already? There isn't, so I'm going to put one in here. This seems likely. We'll put it over this feature here. Like so. There's one, so I have another 2 to place. Well, we don't seem to have one up here by these guys, so I am going to place one here. There we go, and I need to place one more, and again it's supposed to be by one of the largest rooms, so I'll put it in this long kind of chamber with the big pillars, I think, and we'll put it sort of more or less central-ish. We'll put it here. There we go. There's 3. Now, does it ask me for anything else? This place is rested sign and exploration markers on a table near the 3. No, it doesn't. Some of the things where you place extra exploration markers, you also have to place extra foes guarding them. But we've hit lucky this time. That didn't happen. We just had to place more things to investigate. Mind I say, we've hit lucky. We might want to hold that decision until we've taken a close look at what they are. Okay, so that is the first move and the thing. So we've deployed the enemy. Excuse me, pardon me. The objective in a side battle is simply to explore the location The warband counts as achieving their objective if they clear at least 3 exploration markers, except this isn't any old site exploration. This is a quest. So, the warband succeeds if it finds and captures the quest item. That's very specific. So, fight your battle. Cramped conditions. Site battles are fought in tight conditions where foes could lurk behind any corner. All base movement rates are reduced by 1. Okay, I could have done with knowing that before Ekanath moved his 4. But I think it's probably structured in this order for a reason, so I'll leave that. Also, he was moving through a very uncrowded area, that large room. This does not account for enemies with crawling trait. Warband figures cannot dash during site battles. That's going to be one of those things I really need to remember. Enemies can dash, but only if they have the crawling trait, which these enemies don't. No ranged attacks can be made at a distance exceeding 8 inches. Now this is a bit of a blow for us. We've been using a lot of ranged attacks. Awareness. If within 8 inches in line of sight of the warband figures, they become aware of one another. If within 2 inches of aware figures in sight, and so on, I've got a big list of when they become aware of us. Warband members may retreat off the edge of the battlefield any entry point if playing on Dungeon Times. If the objective has not been achieved at that point, the retreat must roll on the flight in the dark table after the battle. If the objective has been achieved, then there is no need for that dice roll. Well, that's good. Okay, exploration markers, we've put them there already. The enemy does not interact with exploration markers other than for setting patrol destinations, as explained above. A warband character that moves within 3 inches and line of sight of an exploration marker will reveal the marker. Roll on this table below to see what they find. Explanations for each find are given below the table. Now we also have to roll to see if we encounter the quest item there as well. So as I understand this, it looks to me very much like I roll both on the site find table and on the quest find table. Well, it isn't a table, it's a d6, and if I roll lower than the number of tokens I've turned over, then I'll find the quest item. Now, could be wrong about that. It could be that you roll to see if there's a quest item first, and then if there's not, you roll on the site find table. But it's a little bit vague about that, so I'm going to rule it's the first method. So I'm going to have to roll on that site find table anyway, which is probably bad news for me because it's things like traps, ambushes, obstacles, environmental hazards are more likely to come up than things like items. So, and even when it does, there's a good chance it'll be a guarded item. So I'll do both. We'll roll on both. That's how we'll do this. So combat round 1, then let us begin with our first combat round. And do you know, I did talk about putting combat round markers in this game, and I keep forgetting to do that, which is kind of mildly annoying. So what I might just do, because I've got some made up, we have to import them into each game individually as a rollable table. So what I might just do is I'll just use a manual dice on my, although last time I picked the dice up, didn't I? So I'll just mark it down on my notes. Old fashioned, paper and pencil, why not? Okay, so I'm also suddenly aware, and very keenly, that I have my email open in the background in case I need it, and it's actually on the same window as this, which means you could actually see it if I opened it, if I get an urgent thing. So I'm just going to close that and open it on an entirely separate window instead of just a different tab, which means it won't show in this if I need to check it for any reason. In fact, I'll leave it off the computer entirely. I'll check it on the phone. I always have to be sure I can check my emails if necessary, because I might be on call for various charities I help out with and so on. Okay, so it's our first move, proper move of the game, so we need to roll for initiative. I have 2 characters with an agility of 2. and all the others have an agility of 1. So I'm looking for 1s and 2s. Ideally I want 2 2s and the rest 1s, and that would be perfect for me. So let me just see what we roll. There are 5 of us, so I need to roll 5d6. Oops, a daisy. I didn't like that. There we go, 5d6. I got 3 6s and 2 1s, so it's not ideal. We've got any 2 of our characters could go in the fast action round. So one of them is going to be Ekanath. So I'm going to put a little fast action marker on Ekanath, and the other one, well, do you know, I think the other one is going to be is that Balthazar, or is that I've zoomed out a little bit before I read his, yep, that's Balthazar. So I'm going to give Balthazar that one. So they go first, and then all the enemies go. Okay, so what I need to know is I'm going to look through Ekanath's eyes, and I can't actually see that patrolling marker around the corner just yet. So we're being careful. I'm already aware I'm well ahead of the rest of my troops, so I'm waiting till somebody comes up in support. So Balthazar's up next. He moves 4, but it's only 3 because of that cramped rule. 1, 2, 3. He gets to there. So Ekanath can also move 3, so he's going to move up 1, 2, and I've just spotted the enemy there. So I am going to turn the enemy over before I decide if I move any further or if I stop there. So the way this works is we roll a d6, and on a 1 to a 3 we have that many of the enemies appear. On a 4, 5 or 6 it's that many minus 1. So let's roll and see just how many enemies we get. 3, so that's 3 more enemies. So we're fighting a total of 6. Now it does say if there are any leaders in amongst those enemies. They start off on the marker itself. There aren't any leaders because I rolled on the leaders thing earlier, and we got no leaders appear. So I'm just going to move that out the way. I'll move it back in a second. I just need to get these 3 guys, copy and paste it. I'll just put them in the black for now and then move them. So one of them has to appear on the marker. So I'm going to make that the archer, and then I'm going to put, each of the others have to be 1 inch away if possible. I'm going to put this guy here and this guy here, so that they're all an inch away, kind of surrounding, flanking that archer. And that seems good. Okay, so Ekanath, not overly keen that he's just seen the enemy. However, he's going to cast a spell. He's going to cast his summon spell to try and get a tiger. This has served him well in the past, but there have been times it's let him down when he's failed it. So let's just see. I have a +2 from devotion. I have +1 on casting, so that's 3. I need to beat 7, and I will burn one of my standard strands to do this. I need to beat 7. So that's 3, that's 5. So I have failed. I have failed to summon help. Bit worried about that, if I'm entirely honest. I don't think I have any particularly useful weapons for dealing with this either. So it might be an idea for me to back off a bit with the rest of that movement. Although I really can't get very far if I do, so it might be actually, you know, there's one thing I can do, because right now, since the cover is made of people rule, I am blocking the shot of my friend. But if I slip down this way, with that last movement point, I'm no longer blocking the shot that Balthazar can take. So Balthazar going to take the shot at this guy. Now then, 1, 2, 3, 4. But he's in cover, so I need a 5 or a 6. Balthazar needs a 5 or a 6. He has no bonuses to his attack. but he is using that self-bow, so let's just give it a try. 5 or a 6 to hit on d6. Nope, so I've fired the shot and missed, unfortunately. However, it could be worse, I'm sure. Okay, so it now shifts to the enemy to go, and then my slow-moving troops. So, I think it's obvious that this guy is going to charge into combat with the closest of ours. I don't want him to, but it doesn't matter what I want. So he's going to charge in and attack Ekanath. Of course he is. So he's on the attack, so he gets a d6, and Ekanath gets a d6. So he scores 1, and Ekanath, who gets no bonuses, it has to be said. But he should be able to beat that. He did, he got a 6. So what that means is this guy's rushed into attack, Ekanath's been ready for him. He's stepped to the side and now seized control of the action. He's now the attacker. So as he steps to the side, he swings for the second exchange and tries to crack this guy in the stomach and the spine with an attack roll of 5. So the enemy would need to beat 5 in order to seize control of the action again, and he did. He got a 6, which means he's become the attacker. So realising he's fallen for Balthazar's feint, he kind of ducks underneath and comes up swinging in the attempt to beat, I said Balthazar meant Ekanath. 5, so that's a good roll he's scored there. But Ekanath has also scored a 5, which means he has bounced him back, and there is an end to the combat. That was the third exchange anyway, so the combat for this round was going to end there anyhow. So the next action is going to be for this guy to move to this position, and I think anybody there he could shoot at is liable to be in cover. Let's just have a look at... That's not true, actually. He's using this outcrop as cover, but he's going to shoot at Balthazar. Poor Balthazar. Twang. And it's a 1, and he's missed. Now, a 1 would normally be you've run out of arrows, but you can't run out of arrows on the very first shot of the game. So he hasn't run out of arrows, he's just missed. Much to our relief, it has to be said. So it's our next guy. So it's anybody who wasn't in the fast moving section. So Balthazar and Ekanath were our fast movers. Actually, I haven't moved this this patrol yet, so this patrol has to move, and there's also this guy hasn't moved yet, so he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm already in a bottleneck fight right at the entrance, giving the enemy plenty of time to try and rally and get together. Anyway, I'm going to roll a D. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 counters here. Of course there are, but luckily I can roll a D7 because I can just type in /roll space D7. The advantage of a VTT is you can have any number-sided dice, whether they are actually dice made of that size or not. So we're going to count from left to right. 1, 2, 3 are the this one, this one, this one, then it's this one is 4, this one is 5, the top one will be 6, the bottom one will be 7. So let me just roll that. So 7, they're moving towards 7. So they're moving away from the fight. That's brilliant news for us. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He moves to there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He moves to there. And 1, 2, 3. He moves to there. So that enemy is actually moving further away from us. It's giving us time to try and deal with this first patrol of these strange, almost but not quite human creatures that we are facing down here in this bottleneck. Now then, my fast acting troops have gone this round, so Leonidas is going to move He moves quickly at the best of times. He moves a 6, but he can't dash, so I can't get the +3. And I have to take a -1, so he can only move 5. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think he's going to have to hold his position there. Now then, Leonidas can't shoot through Ekanath, so that's him finished. We have Kanji as our other fast mover, so this is Kanji, so he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So he's going to take up a position in front of Balthazar, having moved around him. That gives him the opportunity to target any one of these guys, but one of them isn't in cover from there. So I'm just gonna check that I'm right in saying that. Yep, that doesn't actually pass through Ekanath's square. It's right in the corner where those 2 squares meet, so that's okay. That means Kanji, if Kanji is still armed with a ranged weapon, which he is, a self-bow, so he needs a 3 or better in order to hit. So let's just take a look. Does he hit? No, he doesn't. So he fires a shot. Doesn't go where he wanted it to go. This guy's feeling very lucky. He sees it come. He sees Kanji aiming at him. He kind of screeches to a halt and leans back just as the shot goes straight past and clatters off the wall, and he is eternally relieved for that. So Altran is going to try dashing in now. 1, 2, 3 is the best he can get to, so he'll be in that square there. That's 1, 2, 3. And from there, I need to see if Altran can. Oops, dizzy. Altran can fire at anybody. Let me just have a look. Yep, he could. He could hit that guy there. We're in the same position. It just goes through where these 2 squares meet, so that's okay. So he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a 3 or a better. We'll score a hit. And that's a 4. That's a hit. So Altran's come up in support of the cat people. He's brought his bow up and he's seen this advancing enemy and loosed a shot. It's hit the creature directly. And let's find out what the creature's armor is. Well, the creature's armor, if I remember correctly, is a 1. Yep. So I have to beat that. I would need a 2 or better on this d6. Otherwise, it just glances off the armor. 2. So it's hit him. It's gone through the armor. Can I beat his toughness to kill him outright? I need a 5 or a 6 to kill him outright. Otherwise, I've just wounded him. 6! Oh, Altran's come in and shot this attacker who's just thinking how lucky he is to have avoided that earlier shot from Kanji when thunk, this shot hits him straight through the eye socket and takes him out. Fantastic. He's down. That's the enemy suffering the first casualty. Hello. It won't let me black that out without taking those 2 off. Now it should do it automatically. There we go. Look at that. The API script's running perfectly today without a fault. It's showing me the spurt of blood and everything. Okay, a little bit gory, but never mind. So that's all of our side gone and all of their side gone. So I'm just going to take the fast moving markers off from combat round 1. And we now move into combat round 2. And I roll for initiative again. Oops, a daisy just broken my pencil. It's still sharp enough, I'll get away with that. Okay, so it's 5d6 for me, and I've scored a 1, a 6, a 4. This is not great, to be honest, because what this means is that only one of my guys are going before the enemy, and then the enemy are going. Well, this time it's going to be Ekanath again, let's be honest, and I'm going to cast another, or I'm going to attempt to cast summoning again in the hopes that this time I have a bit more luck. So it's 2d6 plus 3. Do you know, I've got a suspicion I only rolled 1d6 last time. That might be where I went wrong. Doesn't matter. 8, so I've automatically succeeded even before I add the bonuses I've got, and that means I need to look up tiger in my list of assets. There we go. Saber-toothed tiger springs up, one in front of Ekanath and is able to attack immediately. So I'm going to put him there. I'm going to circle him around so he's facing the right way. That's always a good idea. And I'm going to have him block that entrance by... He's just spinning like crazy here. Have them block that entrance by rushing into it to attack. So the enemy can't get through there unless they can overcome this angry saber-toothed tiger, which is going to have its attack action. It's on the attack. It's going to try and kill the archer under instructions from Ekanath, who's summoned it. Kill that man with a bow. So it hisses and leaps forwards, snarling at this man. It's on the attack. It gets to roll a d6, scoring 4. And let's see what he rolled. So on a 4, he's bounced off it. He's parried it and backed off. On a 5 or a 6, he's gained the attack. And on a 1 to 3, he has been hit. And he got a 1. So the creature, the summoned creature has hit him. See if it can breach his armor. It needs to get anything but a 1. And it got a 1. I know every time you say anything but, you should know never to say that, because that's what you're going to get. So he got a 1. It didn't go through his armor. This archer's armor has saved him from being mauled to death by this angry saber-toothed tiger. And initiative shifts towards the enemy. So that archer is going to have... Oh, wait a minute. That was only 1 exchange. There are 3 exchanges in every fight. Fancy me forgetting that. It's one of the things I've been doing right from the beginning. So, well, more or less from the beginning. So we're still in action, and the tiger's still on the attack because it did hit. It was just warded off by the armor, so it still has the upper paw here. It gets to go first again for the second exchange. It's a 5. The panicked archer, this time he's managed to end the fight. He has managed to get disengaged from it. He stepped backwards and the fight comes to an end. So initiative shifts to the enemy, and the first thing they're going to do is this guy is going to try and kill this cat, so he can then open up that entrance for his archer friend to start bringing down some of our lot. So he's going to lunge in, hoping that the cat is too busy still concentrating on the retreating archer. He scored a 5, so it's looking quite good from him. The cat's got a 2, so yes, this guy slashed along its flank, taking it by surprise. Can he overcome its armor? Well, yes, because it doesn't wear any, and it doesn't have any natural armor. It does, however, have a toughness of 4, so he needs a 5 or a 6 to bring it down outright. Otherwise, he has just scored a wound on it, and that's a 1, so he's scored a wound on this poor defenseless cat. Just pop the 1 in there, and if I put the 2 in the other side of that bar, we will see he'll get his health aura appear around him. You see it's turned yellow already because he's wounded. So the attacker has still got the advantage, so he'll roll a d6 for the second exchange. 5. He's really laying it on thick on this cat, but the cat has managed to withdraw and pull back, and that ends that engagement for the round. So the archer is going to have to decide, does he step back into danger so he can get a shot, or, knowing that that tiger is dangerous, and that he could be mobbed, well, not mobbed, only 2 enemies could attack him, well, possibly 1 actually. I think he's going to move back into that position and take a shot at Ekanath. Yes, I think that's what he's likely to do. So he's going to step there and roll to hit. He's 3 or better to hit, and a 1 is missed. And I do believe that's the second time he's rolled a 1. So he has run out of ammunition. He spent all this time in this place guarding these magical relics, and it's never occurred to him to go out and get some more arrows at some point. So that's a good... you'd think if he'd noticed that he wouldn't have stepped there, but he didn't notice. He went to reach for that arrow, and there was no arrow there. So it is the other unit who have to move towards that that token that they're heading for. I just need to spin out. They're heading for token 7, so it's the one right down here. by that. So 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to get to there. And the guy behind him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to get to there. And 1, 2, 3. He's going to come in right behind the archer in close protection. And that ends the enemy's turn, so it becomes my turn now. Do you know what? Ekanath should have moved from there because he's kind of in the way a bit, all things considered, but I didn't think to do that when it was still his turn, so it's a little bit late now. So I have the option of moving Leonidas in the hopes of cleaving these guys down, or moving an archer in instead. What I think Leonidas is going to step in is 1, 2, 3. Noticing the archer's kind of panicked about, oh no, run out of, he's going to try and bring down the other guy, the guy that's wounded the tiger. He's going to try and put an end to him instead. So let me just find Leonidas's card. Leonidas, here we go. His combat skills 2, so he gets +2 to hit. So let's start. And he's also going to attack aggressively. So he gets an extra +1. So that gives him +3 to hit on this roll. So he can't be beaten on this roll. He just can't be beaten. So we go straight to trying to overcome the enemy's armor. So that means I need to roll 2 or higher. 6 I did. Now we've got to overcome their toughness of 4. So I need a 5 or a 6 to kill him outright. Otherwise I wound him. And it's a 1. So it's only a wound. It's only a wound. But it is a wound, so let's drop that down to 1. And we have wounded that guy in the first exchange, and I'm still coming at him. I'm still aggressive. I still get +3 to hit. So that gives me 6. So this guy could draw at a 6. Didn't though, so I've hit him again. 2 or better to get past his armor. 6 again. So 5 or a 6 to finish him, although actually he's finished either way. That wasn't a 5 or a 6, but still causes him a wound. That's his second wound, so we drop him down to 0, and the little API script automatically shows you the splash of blood as Leonidas runs him through with a bastard sword straight through the stomach, even wraps his big meaty pawed arm around his neck to pull him down under the sword and drive it in as far as possible, snarling right in his face as the life drains out of this man, and then he draws the sword back and lets go, and the lifeless body collapses. 2 of these attackers dead in front of this, I'm assuming, terrified archer. You'd think he would be at this point. Now the others, they're going to start pouring through as best they can. So he's going to move 1, 2, and he can take up this space here, which is, again, he's fighting sort of round that piece of cover slightly, so I think I'll give him a penalty, but that's Kanji coming in for the attack now as well. He's using an axe, but he has no combat bonus, so it's a straight D6 clash. So he gets 2, a terrified archer gets 6, so the archer has seized control of the action. He sees this Kanji coming in, he steps behind that bit of cover slightly, and he sort of stabs around it. So that's 6, that goes down to 5 because Kanji's using the cover. Kanji rolls a 2, so Kanji is hit. Can he overcome Kanji's armor? Yes, because Kanji isn't wearing any armor. I said earlier that was going to prove to be a mistake, but never mind. So he has to overcome Kanji's toughness, so anything but a 1, 2 or 3. And it's a 1, so Kanji shrugged that off. But for the third clash, this enemy is still in charge of the attack, so he's still D6 at -1 around that cover that Kanji's defending, so that's 2. Kanji gets a D6. Actually, would Kanji be defending that cover? Because he was originally the attacker, the instigator. But he is defending now. It is the second round, so I'm going to say yes, he probably is. So he has managed to seize control of the clash, but that's the third attack, so that brings the clash to an end. So we're bringing our next guy up, that would be Balthazar. 1, 2, 3 to there. Okay, so yeah, we've got one of those there. So he can't get in at anybody, so that's it. We've bottlenecked ourselves. Our Tran is going to press on in an attempt to get up fast as possible as well. But we are kind of bottlenecked here. There's one terrified archer is holding off against us, and that's the end of that combat round. So it's combat round 3 that we're moving into now. Ekanath loses his fast action marker, and we roll another 5d6 to see who goes first. Now ideally we want ones because we want Kanji and Leonidas to go first, although Kanji does have an agility of 2, so a 2 would suffice him as well. Let's just have a look at d6s, 5 of them. So I have rolled a 1 and a 2, so if I give Leonidas the 1 and Kanji the 2, that means I have 2 attackers in this hand-to-hand combat who are both going in the first action, and they get a bonus because they are shoulder to shoulder fighting this guy. So I'm going to have, he's defending now, I'm going to say, so that that piece of cover that we're kind of slightly fighting past the archway, he's going to be using that to his advantage. So he gets +1 on the dice roll, but I'm going to have Leonidas roll first because he already gets +2 for his combat and +1 for, yes, so +3 he gets in total. +1 for Kanji being shoulder to shoulder to him, so that's +3 in total. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, and the archer can't hope to beat 8, so there's no point in rolling. So Leonidas will now go straight to trying to overcome his armor, so he needs a 2 or better to do that. He's overcome the armor, and he gets +1 on overcome toughness, so he's now going to beat 4, so he needs a 5 or a 6. But I'd forgotten last time he does get a +1 on this bit, so 4, 5 or 6 to do the job really. He's failed to overcome the guy's toughness, so the guy becomes stunned and suffers a 1 point wound. I forgot the stuns earlier because obviously the previous fight I'd had, the enemy couldn't be stunned, but these guys can, so he is stunned. And the second clash with Leonidas is still the aggressor, he's still on the attack, he's still getting that +3, and now the enemy's at -1, so that balances off that +1 he got for defending the thing. So Leonidas has rolled 5 with the pluses at 6, 7 and 8. Again, he cannot be beaten, so 2 or better to overcome the armor, and 4, 5 or 6 to overcome the toughness. He hasn't overcome the guy's toughness, but it is the second wound he's taken in this round, so he drops to 0, and the third enemy is down. That's that first patrol completely wiped out, and the second patrol doesn't even know we're there yet. And Kanji has still got the opportunity to act in the fast action round. So Kanji, who is a fast mover, he's 6 normally, so he can move at 5. So we are going to move him 1, 2. Whoa, what happened there? The entire map decided to shift instead of Kanji. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's going to come straight into. Oh, sorry, I've just moved the casualty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Kanji moves to there, and the casualty obviously doesn't move because he's not undead. And now the enemy. Well, the first patrol is already gone, so we roll back over here, and the second patrol, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 gets into there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into there, and 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gets him to there. So they're still completely unaware over the other side of the compound that there are enemies swarming in now and that we've taken out their first patrol. So fingers crossed things continue to go this well for us. Let's just click off that initial fast action. Combat round 4, I think. So we roll again. 5d6, 1s and 2s, 1 4. And we scored a 1, so one of our people gets to move before everyone else. So I'm going to say that 1 is going to be... I think we'll make a kanji so you kind of unblock that passage as we're coming through. That seems to be the likely thing to do. So kanji is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now he can still move 1 more now that he's seen this marker. I assume he's seen that marker. I'm just going to switch to his actual... Yes, so he's seen... Somehow it's claiming he's seen this one as well. That suggests to me that these little black sections here haven't had their dynamic lighting. Now this is a map that I borrowed from the Rogue 20 library. One of the ones I was given free, I think, when I became a pro member, which should have had the dynamic lighting on, and I didn't notice when I checked it, but these ones don't appear not to have it. But obviously I can't see all this supporting pillar, but I can see this one. So this one gets flipped over, so we roll. Well, first of all we roll to see is the quest item there. Can't be, because I have to roll less than the number we've flipped over. I can't roll less than 1 on a d6, so we know that the quest item isn't there. So we roll a d100, find out what is there. And what we get is 44, which is something hidden. Something hidden. There are markings here that suggest something has been buried or stashed away out of sight. A warband member taking an interact action may take an 8+ scouting test to search. A success locates a hidden stash, in which case make a loot roll. A failure means they're unable to find anything. Double 1 on the roll results in setting off a trap. Well, do you know what? We are very, very definitely going to search in this area. These markers have kind of a radius, you see. So it's not like literally that one square, it's within their kind of area of effect, as it were. So we're going to delete that marker now. But I'm going to make that scouting test, and I think Kanji might even have scouting. He does, so he gets +2. So he gets 2d6 +2, and I've got to beat 8 to find some loot. Let's just find 2d6. There we go, 9 +2 is 12. That allows me to look on the loot table. I'll have to come back to page 147 when I've looked on the loot table. So I'm going to have to go and find loot in the contents page. So let me find loot, which is likely to be in the resolution section, I would have thought. It is indeed, but never mind, let's give it a roll, find out what it is we've just found, or that Kanji has just found. So I roll another D100. Just notice I didn't actually mark Kanji as moving first, I just got straight on and did it. So it's 47 gemstones with a gold mark value of D6 +1. Well, that's great news, not least because as a quest area, if you gain valuables from the loot table, increase their value by 1 gold mark, so it's D6 +2 gold marks. So we found 7. That's significant because we only have 9 at the moment. We've been saving for a while to get that far. So gemstones, brackets, value 7 gold marks. That's brilliant news for us. So that's Kanji going first this round. Now the enemy are going first this round. So let me just pan back over to the way They're still dawdling about, completely the wrong end of the thing. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That brings them to within an inch. That means that on their next move, they can actually start rolling for a new target on their patrol. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He gets to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's going to start widening up that gap again because he doesn't need to worry about it quite so much now they're there. So my guys start pouring in through that previous bottleneck that we've managed to unplug by bringing down the enemy. So Leonidas is going to go next, and it's going to try and move the dead guy first, isn't it? So what I'll do is I'll just pop him out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3 is as much as he can go, because 4 would be his normal maximum at this point, so he gets to there. The tiger is going to form up in that space up the top of that flowstone and is going loping up there to check for anything that looks dangerous. Doesn't find anything. Ekanath next. 1, 2, 3. 3, that's it, that's as far as he gets. 1, 2, 3, so he squeezes through that archway as well to take up that position, and that's the end of the combat round. So I'll take off that marker and we will start rolling again to see what and who goes when. So it is combat round 5. Might be 6 because I think I might have missed a 1 tracking the numbers 2 rounds back, but I could be wrong about that. We'll call it 5 anyway. So I roll 5d6, and we have 2 1s. 2 of us get to go in the fast action, so it's going to be our 2 fastest movers. I'm going to make it Leonidas and Kanji, who are our fastest movers. They get to go first, and Leonidas, who moves 6, which is down to 5 at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would get him to there. Now from there, you should certainly be able to see that that target there. So we're going to flip that one. Now this time there is a chance that that is a marker indicating our quest item. It's only a 1 in 6 chance, but it is a chance. So we roll a d6 and we've got to score 1 for it to be the quest item. 6, it's not the quest item. So we also find out what else it's going to be on the Warband Find table D100. 54. Something hidden again. This place is full of concealed, hidden stuff. Leonidas is going to yell to Kanji that he thinks he might have found something here. And Kanji is going to come and look. So Kanji is going to move 1, 2. He's going to move up to here, so that we're kind of surrounding this thing if we need to. But he's now going to make that look. The reason I want Kanji to do it, of course, is because Kanji has that ability that gives him an extra +2 to find this. So hidden item, something hidden. We need an 8 or better on the scouting test. Kanji has the scout, so we've got +2 to this. So it's 2d6 +2. So that only gets him 4. So a failure means they're unable to find anything. On double one, I only rolled 1d6. Hold on, sorry. 2 and 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So actually, yes, we found something else. We get to look on the loot table again, which is nice. So the loot table, I'm going to have to go look for it again because I wasn't expecting to come back to it quite so quickly. Didn't keep in mind what the table number was, what the page number was. I think it's 198, 196, I was close. So yeah, we roll a D100 to see what we found this time. 25, a bag of tools. A bag of tools, and it's worth D3 marks. So I'm just going to jot down bag of tools. Just rub some space off on me campaign notes here. So bag of tools worth, well, let's find out, shall we? Backslash roll 1D3 bosh 3. Oh, hey, we are doing well. So value 3 gold marks. So far, we found 10 gold marks worth of loot in this place, and we only had 9 when we arrived. So that's good. As long as we all get out alive, we'll be fine. So that's our fast actors. So now I'm going to need to scroll right the way out on this, and we're going to have to roll again to see which these guys go to next. Well, they're not going to go to the one they're already at, so I'm going to roll a d6 this time. Can they possibly go to ones that we've already scouted? I assume they can, you know. So backslash roll 1d6, probably how they bump into us in the first place. So 1 means they are heading to the one that should have been over here and isn't. So that is definitely going to bring them into conflict with us, because we are both heading pretty much straight towards one another. So this guy's going to turn, and he now leads the patrol. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's at the top of this flight of stairs. The archer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he'll pull into there and turn to face the direction he's actually going. And this guy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He winds up here. They've taken up a quite nicely spaced formation now, but are marching straight towards us, and we don't know about that. Oh dear. I can't seem to turn this guy. It won't let me grab that handle. That's the third fucking time it's done that. So I'm going to zoom in, see if that helps, and if that doesn't, he's going to start crab scuttling around. Well, it's started to grow it. And there we go. Walking sideways. But he's not now. He's facing the right way now, so that's good. Okay. So that's the slow actors on my side to go next. And I'll start with Balthazar. Moves 4, so he gets to move 3 at the moment. 1, 2, and up to there 3. The cat, I think, moves 6, the summoned cat. Yes, it does. So 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It gets to there. And again, I'm going to try and catch that handle, so we turn it the right way round. And who else have we got here? We've got... I'm just going to move that casualty back to where he actually fell. And move this one out of the way. And we're going to... Well, Altran's going to move second. He's bringing up the rear. So Ekanath is 1, 2, 3. Altran tight on Ekanath's rear and watching our backs. Just move these casualties back into place now. Okay. That's it. That's another combat round gone. So it is time once again to roll for initiative. But before I do that, let me just move the fast action markers off our 2 fast actors. So Leonidas and Kanji. Kanji, incidentally, named after one of my 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons characters, Kanji Fluffenstein Wigglebutt III, who is active in the Before the Witchlights campaign. But I like the name, so I didn't want it to be the same character, but I like the name, so I kept the first part of the name for this character. Okay, let me roll. And I have 5d6s. Again, 1s or 2s we're looking for here. We've got 2 1s, so that means any 2 of my characters can act quickly. Well, now we're coming up on a turn and we're going to have to take. I would say it might be wise to have Ekanath one of the first movers, so that his cat can move up and try and get into that area. Although it's probably too far back anyway. Who's going to take the other one? I think probably Kanji, because he has a... Yeah, Kanji for missile support. So Kanji will take... Yeah, there we go. So the cat, which moves 5, normally 6, but we're down to slow movement because of the close confines. Says 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's going to run up to there, and Ekanath is going to go 1, 2, 3 to there. Now Kanji is left with, does he go forward before his hand-to-hand support? Well, he's a brave and curious little cat, so he's going to. So 1, 2, 3. I might actually... No, I'm not going to wait. 4, 5. He's going all the way there, and there's a possibility he can see that next counter. He can. So we've revealed another counter. So first of all, let's see if one of the things there is the quest item. So if we roll a 1 or a 2 this time, then we've found the quest item. Nope, it's not. So it's only whatever we find on page 147. 147, which I would have rolled anyway, because I did say at the start we would definitely roll this every time, even if we're looking for the quest item. So it's D100. 21. Item. Oh, we've been lucky so far. An item just happens to be lying on the ground, dropped by an adventurer or careless foe, maybe. Odd. What's next? Finding magical swords in a random troll cave? Make a loot roll. So we get another loot roll. I'll just remove this. So another loot roll. That's page 100 and... That's not as... The loot rolls are... no, they are 198. 198. D100. See what loot we found at this time. And 36. Clearly, whoever built this place has only built it recently and is intending to come back to finish the work, because we've just found another bag of tools. So I think what's happened here is these guys we're fighting have obviously got the workmen in, got the workies in, and going, can you do something about my kitchen, fix the plumbing, and maybe get some electrical wiring in so we can get some light in this place. And the yes, I know, I'm joking about the electrics and the plumbing, but it seems they're having some work done, and they've left piles of tools around, expecting to come back and finish off probably masonry, to be entirely honest. Possibly they're thinking of extending, knocking through, something like that. Interesting. Anyway, we're going to hand over the action to the enemy now, who are, unbeknownst to both them and us, heading straight towards us, because they're coming to look for something that should be on the other side, but we've already nicked it. So down the stairs, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I think there's a door, a shut door there. Let me just, yeah, there is. There's a door in that corner. So we still don't stand a chance of actually seeing each other yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. So it is our slow acting troops to go next. So our slow acting troops, Leonidas. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's lost a couple of points of possible movement there because he can't get past Kanji. So he comes jogging up behind Kanji. Kanji, slow down. There could be anything in there. Wait till I'm with you. And 1, 2, 3, 3. And 1, 2, 3. This follower here, who no longer a follower, now one of the heroes of the band, the first human hero of our war band. He's come shoulder to shoulder with Ekanath to protect our mage, and that's our 5th or possibly 6th combat round finished. So we're going to go into the next combat round, which I'm going to mark as 6. And we're going to roll initiative again to see who goes. So we're still 5 people. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it is. So we've got a 2. So somebody can go first. Either Kanji or Ekanath. Now nobody's getting past Kanji unless he moves. So Kanji will get the fast action movement this time. And he is going to head through this door. 1, 2, 3. Interesting, he notices there's 2 exits, he can't get to either of them, so he's going to tuck himself in a corner ready to fire if need be. 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going to head up to this one, this corner here. Oh, 6, he can't get that far. You just have to jump that. Okay, move into this corner instead. I'll show you here actually, keep that archway as mild cover. You see this little archway that's on the map here? Use that as mild cover. So he's moving there. So that's his fast action. And he's knocking an arrow ready for anything that might happen. And anything is about to happen because the enemy are about to come bursting through that southern door. So this guy is 2, 3. I think it's 1 for opening a door, so that's 4. And he's shocked to see Kanji standing there. They both look at each other, their eyes widen as they suddenly think, shit, enemy. Fast thinking, he steps this way, ready to race for Kanji, but he's yelling for help, he's shouting. There are invaders in the temple, I'm assuming this is. And the archer is going to come around that corner and he will have a target. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Might as well be 5. So he's going to twang a shot off at Kanji. Poor Kanji, because this guy's going to hit on a 3 or better. 2, he's missed. So that shot, oh actually, I'd forgotten Kanji had that little bit of cover, so it would have been harder. That shot has hit that cover. Kanji's really thankful he chose not to be standing out in the open when this this patrol came hammering round this corner. Just realised this guy can dash, can't he? Because the enemy can dash. It's us that can't dash. So since he can dash an extra 2, he's going to try and close as much distance as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as far as he's getting. I'll use a point of dash to get tight up there, ready to get through that door as fast as possible on the next round. But it's now our slow moving troops. Or slow action phase troops, I should say. So Leonidas, aware that Kanji's yelling, the enemy, they're here. There's more. He comes hammering round that corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and slams into this surprised bad guy who's trying to make it to Kanji. I just need to move Leonidas so I can get the action handle and move him facing the right way. Yeah, there you go. So I'll come thundering round that corner. I get +2 to attack because of my combat skill. I'm on the attack, so it's D6 +2. I'm going to act ferociously, which gives me another +1, so that gives me +3 on a ferocious attack, and that's a 4. So this enemy here gets a D6. And he's rolled a 4, so we've bounced off one another, and that's ended the combat. So I've come hammering round there, charged him, swung. He's stepped backwards to avoid getting cleft in twain, and that brings that action to an end. We sacrifice the 2 other exchanges that would normally have been in there. So that's him done. So we're aware now that there are enemies at the gate, essentially. So we're sending the cat in to help. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can get to here. It's kind of blocking the advance a little bit again, but never mind. We are 1, 2, 3. Well, actually, that's as far as Balthazar could get anyway. It's up to there. I need him to stand off one while I turn him to face the right way, and then we'll move him. It's very difficult to catch these handles today. It's not normally. It's because I'm zoomed out a little bit far, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Much easier now. Balthazar. Interestingly enough, Balthazar is also named after one of my cats from the past, one of my wife's cats. Used to be a neighbour's cat, but it chose to move in with us, and the neighbour was very good about it. Let us keep the cat because it was happier living with us than with him. But the real Balthazar was Ginger Tom, very brave, battle-scarred little guy. This Balthazar is kind of a white and grey colour. So there you go. Ekanath 1. Ekanath should have moved when the cat did, really, but it's still in a slow phase. Doesn't matter. 2, 3. He gets to there, and 2. He's bringing up the rear. So that is it for another action phase. So we are hammering through the rounds in this one, because obviously we've got to find each other and whatnot. It's combat round 7, or possibly 8, if I'm right about having missed that one off when I was ticking them off. So we take the fast action marker off Kanji, we roll again, another 5d6, 1s and 2s we want. No, nothing. Dear me, we've been taken somewhat by surprise here, and the enemy is going to get to act first in all things now. I really, really didn't want that to happen. So I'm just trying to think whether we should spend points to change it or not. There are certain points in the game, some of which can be used to change one or two things. So, for example, luck points. Characters with luck points can ignore a result from the injury or flight from the dark table, so that wouldn't be appropriate here. Willpower points to activate in the quick action phase regardless of the dice. That's what I was looking for, but I don't actually think any of us have any willpower points yet. So that is not going to be a thing that's possible. Nope. Story points, well, I got through them quite quickly in the very early parts of the campaign. I don't think I want to risk any more. We've got 3 more enemies to fight. I'm going to let the dice fall where they may, and I am going to hope that things work to our advantage. So this guy is going to run up this flank here. 1, 2, 3. Now the question is, does he try and take out somebody that's already in action, or does he try and stop this big cat from getting into action? I think he's going to try and take out one of the archers he actually knows about. So I think he's going to try and take out Kanji. So on a 1 or a 2 he misses. Anything else he hits at that range. So that is d6. Tension builds. It's a 2. He's missed. So he's fired that shot, and Kanji's flattened himself against the wall, and the shot's just grazed past. He's even battered his fur. His heart's pumping fast. It's thundering in his chest, and his eyes are wide as he realizes just how close he came there. But that's that guy's action down. So this guy's going to race into combat with Leonidas. Leonidas, who is going to fight, I think, defensively here. Let me just select a combat tactic. So I think if I fight defensively while the enemy's got the upper hand, I can always switch to a more brutal attack once I gain the upper hand. So game rules, combat, melee combat. So select tactic, fight defensively. The character rolls twice and picks the best roll. If they win, they inflict no hits. This tactic negates all possible sources of counterattack. That's okay, I don't need to inflict a hit because I couldn't anyway. I don't have a counter attack, and I'm on the defensive, so a defensive action at this point seems logical. So we're going to roll the bad guy first of all. It was D6. He scored 6, so it's just as well. I rolled a defensive maneuver. I get +2 because Leonidas has +2 in combat, and I get to roll 2 dice. And I picked the best one, so I rolled double 6s. So actually I would have drawn at the worst case scenario, and now I have beaten him because of that +2 on my combat skill. That means Leonidas has seen the guy coming in, he's charged in, I've blocked the blow, and with a circular parry I've opened up my opponent ready for my counter attack, and I gain the initiative. I'm now on the attack for the second exchange, and I'm going to switch styles. Oh no, it has to be the same one for all exchanges during this melee. If I'd noticed that, I would probably still have picked the same action, actually, to be honest. So I'm fighting defensively, so I could beat him. The best I can do is hold the action so he doesn't get a chance to attack. So I still get to roll 2d6 and pick the best ones. They're both 5s this time. 5s, that's 6 and 7. So he cannot possibly hit me this round, this exchange. So we're going to a third exchange, and I still have the better of them. So I still have the initiative. So I roll as if I was an attacker. Oh, this time that's going bad. This time we both dice rolled 1s. But with my +2, that's a 3. But that's okay because I've got the initiative. I've got the right of way, as we call it in sports fencing. Which means even if he was to win this one, all it would do would be to shift the initiative back to him, and this is the third exchange, so it doesn't matter anyway. But we'll roll and see what happens. These 6, because we might bounce, we might do that. No, he did manage to regain initiative after the initial shock. He's managed to get himself into a position where he's not quite so out of it, but the exchanges have ended, so there's a lot of ringing steel in this chamber as these two fighters just clash weapons, and nobody lands any blows on the other. This guy is going to come running in now. Then this water feature here, it does take 2 movements to cross each one of those, so this guy gets a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But that does mean he's in action against Leonidas. He now gets +1 because Leonidas is distracted by fighting the other. Oops, I've gone too far. The other cultist or reptile man or deep one or whatever these things actually are. So this guy gets +1. Leonidas still gets +2 and is still fighting defensively. So he will still. Do I want to fight defensively this time, or do I want to fight evasively? The character rolls normally. If they win, they inflict no hits but may move 2 inches, ending the melee. This tactic negates all possible counter attacks. Do I want to do that? Do you know I don't? I don't, so I am just going to fight defensively again. So I'll get 2 dice rolls, so my attacker gets 1 at a +1. So he's rolled 4, and I get 2 dice rolls at +2. So I pick the best one, which is 4. Adding 2 is 6, so I've seized control of this fight as well. So he's come rushing in to help his friend, and I've blocked his attack as he swings. I've grabbed his hand with one massive furry paw to stop the sword coming down, and I swing my sword at him, but I've not kept enough of a grip on him, so he's wiggled free. I roll twice. I now have initiative, so that's 4. That's 6. And the enemy rolls a 5. So because I'm attacking, I would normally do damage, but because I'm fighting defensively, I don't. It just means I keep the initiative for another round. So it's 2d6. So if I'm 7 this time, and the guy can't possibly beat us, so I'll keep the initiative. I've held both of these guys off for the whole combat round, for all 3 exchanges. So I'm pretty pleased with myself, especially as it's about to shift to my turn. So Kanji, not happy at being shot at, is going to shoot back, as you can imagine. So he's going to shoot back at the same archer that shot at him, the archer that's on the other side of this water feature, but it doesn't provide any cover. So, and one is a miss, and I've run out of ammunition because this isn't my first shot of this action. So I need to put a little marker on to show that I have run out of ammunition. Silly sod. However, I do still have the ability to move if I want to move. I don't know. No, I don't think I'm going to move. Don't think I'm going to move. Actually, I am going to move. I'm going to move into combat. So that's 2, 4, because he's fast 5. I don't get to make a combat attack this round, but it means next round I'm where I need to be, and I just need to hope I score initiative. So the next person I'm going to have act is Leonidas, and now, because these are different sets of exchanges and I'm on the attack now, I'm fighting aggressively because I'm going to kill one of these guys so that I can concentrate on the other one. So let me try and take out this guy, the second one who joined the fight. So I'm going to try and kill him with a D6 plus 3, plus 2 for my combat, plus 1 for fighting aggressively. That's the plus 3, so 6. D6 rather, so that's 3, 5. So this guy can still beat me. Let's just see if he does. No, he hasn't. So I've hit him. Can I overcome his armor of 1? Yes, I can. Can I take him down by rolling a 5 or a 6? No, I can't, so I'll just wound him instead. So we take that down by 1, and I slash him open, and he's stunned, so he'll be fighting this round at -1 now, because he is stunned. So I'm going to press that attack with, I still hold control, so another D6 plus 3, that's 5, 6, 7, 8. The guy can't possibly defend himself, so I just need to overcome his armor and overcome his toughness. So to overcome his armor, I need a 2 or better. 2, that's it, I've overcome his armor. To overcome his toughness, I need a 4 or better, but I get +1 at this because of the weapon I'm using. So, sorry, actually I think I needed a 5 or better. I did need a 5 or better, so now I need a 4 or better. So D6, 4, 5 or 6 to take him out. 6, hacked off his head, thwack, it goes sailing across the room, and he goes down like a sack of potatoes. And that's me done, although I can still move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move just 1 space sideways. I'm still in action with this guy, but I've opened up a space for reinforcements to get in and help. And that, dear reader, is exactly what they are going to do, because we have the kitty cat here, which is going to come hurtling in. So the cat comes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to make an attack on this guy. So it's a D6 each, essentially. I know it gets +1 because it's shoulder to shoulder with an ally. So it's scored 7, so he can't possibly beat it. So can the cat overcome his armor of 1? Yes, it can. Can it overcome his toughness of 4? No, it can't. So instead of overcoming that toughness, it just causes, instead of killing him outright, rather, it just causes 1 wound as he tries to fend this off, and it strips the flesh from the bottom part of his arm with its savage, big saber tooth. It howls in pain as the cat continues to press its advantage because it's still on the attack. It's got another 2 exchanges, and it still controls the fight at the moment. So its second attack, he's scored 3. The defender is at -1, so he's been hit again. The cat needs to overcome armor, 2 or better. Yes. And overcome toughness. Yes. although he would have killed him anyway. But he leaps forward, he bears him down, his entire weight on the guy's chest. He crashes to the ground screaming, but his scream is cut short as the saber-toothed tiger sinks its fangs right into his throat and rips his throat out, killing him instantly. Just pop that 0 in there. Down he goes, so we only have one enemy left alive in this fight to worry about, and we're starting to enter this room in large numbers. 1, 2, 3. That's as far as Balthazar can get. Can he see the target from there? Yes, but can he hit it without it having to pass through an allied square? No, he can't. You can see centre to centre. It does pass through Leonidas' square. It's not actually at the juncture with the next square. It's slightly further down, so he doesn't get that shot. So he's going to have to stop there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Ekanath, as he's coming up. 1, 2. Oh, change over to the movement. Power. There we go. 1, 2. And actually, if I step sideways. 3, so 1, 2, 3, he's coming up in reserve as well, and that's the end of that round. We have one of the enemy left, just their second archer. That's all that's left that we know about, but we don't know what we'll reveal when we reveal these other sites of special interest. So let us roll initiative for the 8th or 9th possibly round. Still got 5 combatants. So a 1, a 2, so Kanji can go on the 2, and I think I'm going to have Leonidas go on the 1 as well. So I'm going to have Leonidas on 1, Kanji on 2. They're going to get to go first. Now Kanji's wondering, does he attack, or does he leave this to Leonidas, who really knows what he's doing? The split second it takes him to think about it, it's already too late for him to decide otherwise, because Leonidas is, with a massive roar, lion's roar, has just leapt over that channel. 2 movements to do that, but that's okay, he's got plenty. He lands in front of this guy and launches a furious attack, giving him another +1 over the +2 he already gets for his combat ability. So he's a +3 on this furious attack. So he's 6. So the guy could still draw and save his own life if he scores a 6. He didn't. So Leonidas is hit. So he passes the armor on a 2 or better. Yep, he smashed through the armor. He kills him on a 5 or a 6. He wounds him on anything else. Oh, it's only a 1, so he's only wounded. This, I assume, really, I can imagine this guy's probably actually peed himself as this lion man's come hurtling into the attack. He's also stunned because he's been hit as well, so he'll be -1 for the fight for the rest of the exchanges. So Leonidas is still at +3 and 3. That's 6. This guy can't win because he's at -1. We'll roll anyway. 4 with that -1. So Leonidas has hit him again. Does he bypass the armor? 1. No, he doesn't. So the guy's armor saved him, but he's still reeling backwards as Leonidas launches his 3rd attack of the exchange. That is 6. That's 6, 7, 9. He's scored. Guy can't beat that, so let's go straight into seeing if his armor saves him. This time 2 or better, and he's bypassed the armor. 4. Have I killed him? Well, I've wounded him, and he was wounded already, so he's down, he's dead, he's dying, he's out of it. I thrust the sword straight through his side, kick the bow out of his enervated fingers as it goes clattering to the ground as he topples over, and I just kick his corpse down the passageway. Or, well, he might not actually be dead yet, he might just be sort of out of it and dying, so kick him anyway for good measure, because you know, Leonidas is an angry little, big lion man. So it's the enemy to go, but there aren't any. So that's just, I'm happy with that. I mean, technically it's Kanji to go, because we're still in the fast action round. So I think Kanji's going to open that door for 2, and then 3, 4, 5. He gets to there, and I need to switch to his view and see, can he see any more little red markers? No, he can't. So it is enemy to go. There are none. So my slower actors, the cat is going to start stalking down this way, see if it can see what where the enemy came from. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm assuming the enemy left that door open since they kicked it in when they came through it. So 1, 2. Right, I can't get across that, so I'm going to come down to there. Ekanath, 1, 2, 3. He gets to there, and he gets behind 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Well, I'm going to take our markers off, fast action markers, and we are in the next combat round, and we're in an interesting position. There are no enemies on the field at the moment. I've never had this happen before, but there are no enemies on the field, but we're still adventuring because we haven't found what we're looking for yet. So we enter combat round 9, and I'll just see who gets to go in the first. Sorry. So I scored a. Right, everybody's going after the enemy. There are no enemy to worry about. So I'm just going to move them in order of right to left. So Kanji is going to, you can see there's a bit of a fire glow from up ahead, so he wants to investigate that. So he's creeping cautiously down these stairs. 1, 2, 3. And he has found another of these things. Ha! Brilliant. That's what he wants to find. That's what he came here to do. So we go to page 147. And the first thing I'm going to do is roll to see what he found. Then I'm going to roll to see if he also found the quest item. So rolling on a D100. I've been lucky so far. Don't know how long this can hold. 53. Something hidden. So it would seem very much like it can hold for a while. But we have found several of the red markers. We've found 2, I think. So far was the one in here. There was one in here as well, so we found 3. So I roll a d6. If I get a 1, 2 or a 3, sorry, if I get a 1 or a 2, we've found one. It's a 3, so that's not under the number we've turned over, that is the number we've turned over, so we don't find one. But we do find something hidden. So on the loot table, 198, Kanji, who's had a lot of luck with loot this time round, is looking to see what he's nicked. D100, and did I genuinely roll a 1 on that? I did, yep. An art object, an objet d'art. So I'm going to say it's probably a sculpture, because in the middle of a cave, I very much doubt you're hanging a painting. Having said that, you might hang a embroidery or tapestry or something like that from the wall. So let's call it a tapestry. So he's found a tapestry. Value, let's see, art object D6. So it's the value for this is 1d6. Now remember, we get +1 on the value. This one's worth 7. So value 7. I just realised that I didn't actually roll the value of the last one. I should have rolled. I just added 2 because it was second bag of tools, because the bag of tools are worth D3. So backslash roll 1 D3. So it's this +1. Yep. So the second bag of tools not quite as valuable as the first one. It was only worth 2 gold marks. But this tapestry is worth 7. The gems we found were worth 7. So it's 19 gold marks worth of items we found whilst looting this place. So that's nice for us. I mean, you know, not so much for the guys we've nicked them all from, but I'm happy with that. Okay, so I'm also going to have Leonidas is going to move. He's quite fast, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For 5, that's it. He gets to there. The cat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gets to there. Ekanath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3. So he gets to there. That's 1, 2, 3. He gets there. And he gets to there. And then we move into combat round 10. Or quest round 10, I suppose we should probably say. Now, I don't want to thin me guys out too much. So I'm going to have to start to be a little bit more cautious here. So only one of them is moving in the fast action phase. I'm going to make that I'll make it Leonidas who moves in the fast action phase. He's going to come round this corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's found another of these things. So first of all, let's roll to see if the quest item is there. On a 1, 2 or 3, the quest item is there. Yes, so we have found the quest item. So I'm going to mark that Leonidas has the quest item. I don't know what I'm going to use as the marker for that. Something that looks suitably impressive, perhaps. I don't know that there's anything there that really screams I've found the quest item. Go on, somebody will buy me beer for finding it, so I'll put a little beer marker on there. So he has found the quest item, but what else has he found is the question, because it could be protected by a trap, or it could be guarded, or it could be in the middle of another pile of treasure with the luck we've been having. He says, cursing his luck now. So 147, the warband finds, roll D100, 8. We find an environmental hazard. Interesting. Whether it's a pool of toxic liquid, a carnivorous plant, or a cave-in in this area is dangerous to move through. The hazard extends 3 inches in every direction from the marker. Now I've got to go for this marker because it's got the item I need in it. The character that reveals the marker must make a 9+ wits test to avoid being affected. If they pass, move them backwards 1 inch. If they fail, they suffer the effects of the hazard. So I'm going to say, as I grab this this quest item, I suddenly realise that the water I'm standing on, the pool of water I'm standing in, isn't water, it's burning the bottom of my paws. Can I jump back before it's done anything more than just a minor thing? Let's find out. So a 9+ wits test. Now I don't think, no jokes on this when I say this please, but I don't think Leonidas has any wits. So he hasn't. So he's going to need to roll 9 or better on 2d6. Oh, that's quite a high target number. And he's failed. So what happens? If they fail, they suffer the effects of the hazard. After the initial reveal, the enemy will not move into the area, while warband members must make an 8+ expertise test to move through without taking damage. Successful test allows a character to move into the area without risk. So he hasn't actually managed to get the quest item after all. So I'm going to have to take that beer off. He's found it. He's yelled to everybody, it's here. It's right here. I found the quest item. But he hasn't actually been able to get past this pool of acid. Just allows character to move into the any character affected takes a +1/+0 hit. So I'm automatically hit. Okay, it gets +1 to overcome my armor. My armor is 2. So let's just make a roll and see where that gets us. I'm still looking for that beer to take it back off. I can't find it. There it is. So my armor is 2, so this is +1 to breach my armor, so I add 1 whatever we get here. 6, so the armor has had no effect at all, so I've been sprayed with this acid from the pool. I've kind of splashed into the edges of it. It's kind of splattered up my legs, it's burning me fur a bit, I'm howling in pain. Let's just see if it does me any actual damage. It needs a D6. It will take me out if it scores a 4, 5 or a 6. Anything else, and it is a wound. 2. So I've taken a wound and I refuse to go anywhere near this now, according to the text. After the initial review, the enemy will not move into the area. Sorry. Warband members must make an 8+ expertise test to move through without taking damage. A successful test allows a character to move into the area without risk. Though if they do not leave the area on the following battle round, they must test again. I see. Right. So I could make that expertise test to try and get in. And do you know I'm going to? Because Leonidas has expertise, so I'm going to try and make that. Haven't said that. If I fail it, I could take damage again, and that could take me out. Except I won't take damage again because we're rolling for this round, aren't we? We're rolling to see whether I grab the item or not. So yeah, okay, expertise. See if I grab the item. I need to pass an 8+ expertise to have grabbed the item on the round that took the damage. So it is 2d6. I get +2 on this. 5, 6, 7. So no, I took the damage and the shock of it sort of forced me backwards, howling. And I've seen the item, but I just didn't manage to get at it. So I'm a bit disappointed in myself. So I'm calling for help. Let's see, who else has expertise would probably be the question, wouldn't it? So, and who has the highest toughness would probably also be quite a good thing. Because anybody that goes in there now is going to have to try and beat... oh dear, so toughness 3, toughness 3, toughness 3, toughness 3, toughness 4, Balthazar looks like the man for this job, or the cat for this job. However, he doesn't have any expertise, but he does have luck, so if anything, if he got taken out, he'd be okay in that regard. Awkward, isn't it? So let's just have the others move down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So because this is a special condition that you can squeeze past each other to get to these counters, because you're not actually sort of combat maneuvering, I'm gonna have Kanji try this. So he needs to beat 8 on his expertise. God, it's a difficult one, isn't it? So 2d6, 6. So he didn't manage it. So Kanji's going to take some damage as well. We're going to take more damage from this pool of acid than we're going to take from everything else. I really don't want to fail at this point. So actually, having said that, to move through without taking damage, so he's still been able to get in and get it. He's just taken damage when doing it. So okay, let's see if Kanji takes... it's going to get past his armor, which he isn't wearing, so it's done that. Does it take him out? No, it doesn't take him out, so it wounds him. But Kanji has the item. Kanji has found our quest item. He's gone rushing in, jumped onto the pedestal and grabbed the statue and turned to jump off, but as he's jumped off, he's managed to clip his paws into the pool of acid. It's sprayed up and hurt him. He's yelping as his fur's burning away, and he can feel this eating into him. He's squealing a little bit, but he's got this quest item clutched in his paws, and he is not going to let go. We can now withdraw. There's no point in doing this on a movement-to-movement basis, because we... unless we decided we wanted to go and loot the rest of the temple, but we don't really. We've got what we came for, and we've got a lot more money than we came for, so we are just going to pull out. There are no other enemies active, so we are able to just leave the temple and complete that first part of our quest. Fantastic. So we go over now to the it's in green, this chapter. I forgot what it's called again. It's the chapter you visit with resolution stage, so 187. So on page 187, the first thing you do is collect adventure points. Now I think adventure points, there was a special rule on that. You don't get to take a victorious enemy threat encounter or a raid. So you don't get any adventure points by the look of it for that one. Okay, so that's unfortunate, but still. Check for injuries or flight from the dark. Well, nobody was taken out and we didn't have to run. We completed our quest, so we don't have a flight through the dark, so we don't need to worry about injuries or anybody getting killed while we're running away. We're walking away quite nonchalantly with our loot. So check for advancement. During the campaign turn, your heroes will have acquired some experience points. Now, we learned last time that this would involve jumping to the next chapter and coming back. So actually what we'll do is we'll check for advancement when we get through this step, and it'll flow a little bit better, when we get through all the rest of it. So roll for loot. If you achieved your objective, we did, in your battle, you may roll once on the loot table to obtain some loot. Some events may grant you additional rolls, particularly during a delve. You may take any loot, even if it would make you exceed your backpack limit. Certain battles may grant additional rewards. If so, they also receive. Now, right, so I need to check the quest rewards as well after we've done this. But first of all, let's make a note that we get to roll one loot. Yeah. Okay, so we get to. I've written something down there, but it doesn't bloody look like loot. One loot roll. So again, when we get to the right table for that, I'll find. Oh, wait a minute. If you held the field in the scenario, roll a D100 from unusual finds. Do you know, I'm going to have to be bouncing around a bit here anyway, so I'm going to go to that loot table at page 196. Then I'm going to check my unusual finds table at 190, I think that just said. Okay, so let's do 196 first of all. So, well, actually, I've just panning down. I get the unusual finds first. So let's make our unusual finds roll first. So it's D100, and it's a sight battle. So that gives us a separate table to be running on, separate column to be reading. / nothing of interest. So nothing from the unusual finds table. So over to our standard loot table. 196. Still looking. 190. There we go. Loot. So we roll a D100. 83. So we also found a sack of grain worth a single piece of gold. Single gold mark, but we're going to take it anyway. We're getting used to carrying sacks of grain. We've been doing enough work. One gold mark that's involved it lately, just to build up our money. So we're going to take these sacks of grain with us and sell them on. Wait a minute. That was a sub-table I've just rolled on there. That was a sub-table, sorry. So 83 should have been the consumables table. And that was the valuables table that had the... Okay, so sorry, we didn't find the sack of grain. I need to roll separately on the consumables table. So that's a weapons sub-table, that's a consumables table. So let's find out what we get on that. 100. So 28. 28. Fine wine. strong possibility you might drink that before we get back, you know. So search. Shouldn't really give cats and dogs wine. Although for those of you who are interested, you can get specially made fine wine, specially made pet wines. We did actually get some for our Bengal cat, Ekanath, the cat that was named after. When he came out of the veterinary hospital, he'd been in the veterinary hospital for months. It cost us thousands and thousands of pounds in vet bills, but we were very pleased to have saved him because we loved that cat. And to celebrate when he got his, well, he didn't wear a cone of shame because he had 2 points in his chest where there'd been drain in his chest. He had to wear a pet vest instead. And when he got the all clear and he could take the pet vest off, we celebrated with, we bought a bottle of wine for ourselves and we bought a bottle of pet wine for him. That was a great night. He remembered a lot more of it than we did afterwards, must be said. Okay, so we now go back again. You know what I said about not jumping pages, it didn't work out like that as it happens. So since I've got to scroll back past the experience points bit, I might as well just do it on the way past anyway. I know I said I didn't want to jump around, but I kind of had to do the loot, so I might as well do the experience points on 193 anyway. So hero advancement. Survive the encounter. Well, everybody survived the encounter. So Altran is now a hero, so he now starts generating experience points. He gets 1. Leonidas gets another 1, so he's now up to 12. Balthazar now gets 1 because he survived that, so he now goes up to 8. Ekanath survived that, so he goes up to 14. And Kanji goes up to 10, which means he'll have a advancement roll, I think. But we'll check that in a moment. So enemy leaders slain. There were no enemy leaders in that, so we don't get to use that. Heroic Slayer, distribute XP equal to the reward rating of an aberration. We didn't slay an aberration. Held the field, achieved objective. Award 1 to all heroes left on the table. So Kanji now goes to 11. Ekanath to 15, which I think gives him another advancement test. Balthazar to 9. Leonidas to 13. Altran to 2. There we go. Is there anything else we get? I think that's it. You can either have the field or achieve objective award for a single encounter, but not both. Right, okay. That's fine. So, anybody at 4, 9 or 15 gets another advancement test. So starting with Ekanath, he's at 15, so he gets his 3rd advancement test on the Mystic table. So we rolled D100 on the Mystic advancement table, and he scored 85. So spell improvement. So let's find out what a spell improvement means. Gain a random spell. Now it specifically says random spell here. So I will add here random spell, and I'll figure that out once we've done everybody's bit on these tables. So Kanji's gone to 11 on this action. He was already at 9, so he'd had his most recent advancement table. Balthazar's just gone to 9, which means he gets his second advancement. So he rolls on the non-mystic table. Non-mystic table, D100. He scored 87. Select luck increase or will increase. Well, he's already got a point of luck, and we keep talking about how we could have done with a point of will, so he's going to take a point of will. I think I'm right in saying that as a feral, he's only allowed 1 point of will maximum, but he's only got 1, and that'll actually be the first point of will in our entire team. So Leonidas has just gone to 13 from 11, so I don't think he gets any more. No, he doesn't. Altran has just gone to 2, so he's halfway to his first. So there we go. That was the advancements. So from there, after advancements, let's just have a look. did experience points, we did loot, we did enemy plans would be next apparently. But I'm going to do the random spell check first and then we're going to come back to that. So let's have a look at spells. Spell casting, spell list page 46. Spell list page 46. And it does say it random, so let's roll D100. See which spell I gained. So I've been studying old dusty tomes and talking to the various nomads we've been dealing with. And from that I have learned darts. Now this has a mark next to it. I need to know what that mark is for. It's not an asterisk, it's like a little crossy thing. Looks like a dagger, to be honest. And it doesn't tell me what that's for. So that's a thing. That's happened. Anyway, I'm going to add the darts to... So that random spell becomes darts. That's a 7 plus to cast. It's it's a 6 plus, sorry. It casts on one ally. I think I know what this does, and if it's what I think it is. Target a character that's out of range weapon ammunition, they immediately restock their ammunition. This is not what... That is fantastic. Restocks ranged ammo, and that's immediate. That is brilliant. That's really good news because we do keep running out. So that was that one. I've just had a ping, so I just need to check in case this is something I need to deal with straight away. It is, so it's just as well I did. So let me just just send that message. Sorts that out. So let me just get back to our resolutions, make sure I haven't missed anything. Resolution stage, we've done step 1, we've done step 2, check for injuries. We have step 3, check for advancement, we've just done. Step 4, roll for loot, we did. Step... There's a 5 in here somewhere, because I've just found step 6. So, there's a step 5, doing a lurk. Where's it hiding? There. Roll for unusual find, so we did that as well. So, step 6. Settle in. If you're in the same map area as a settlement, you can begin the next campaign turn in town, or in camp as you prefer. If you're anywhere else, you will begin the next campaign turn in camp. Well, there's no settlements here. There's not very many in this area. I rolled the minimum possible. There's only 3. So we have to begin the next turn in camp. Step 7, news travels. Roll D100 on the news table below to see what news reaches you from other lands. Apply any results immediately. So we roll D100. Not quite sure how this news is getting to us from other lands when we're out in the middle of nowhere, but we've maybe bumped into some nomads, because this is a nomad area, who are heading up to one of the nomad towns, probably from this one on the southern end of the lake area 20, probably moving round the nomad town at 8, and have come south around the thing, and we've bumped into a few of them. And what have they told us? A friend needs your help. Oh, it's actually somebody coming the other way then. Friend needs your help. If you have a friend in the region, which I do, remember I made one earlier in the campaign round, or rather last round, randomly select one, well there is only one, that needs you to carry out a contract. You will receive 1 additional story point for helping. If you have no friends, well I do have some friends now, and I'm so pleased to have a friend that I'm definitely going to seriously consider the possibility of taking on that job. I'm just trying to see. Right, okay, so I've currently got 2 story points. So contract. I need to find the section on contracts. That just comes as no surprise. I'll find out what contract he wants to offer me. So let's find the section on contracts. Probably best if I just type in a search, I think. Contract. Contracts, page 100. So roll a D100. Okay. So I'm just going to make note of contract from friend. And we roll a D100 to find out the type. I don't need to roll who it is because I only have one friend, so don't use the contract source table. I just use the contract type. And I rolled a 99. Oh no, it's Slay Beast. Not again. This is what got me into all the trouble the last time, man. Okay, so I don't think we're going to be able to, but we're going to try and generate the beast first. Get some information about it before we decide whether this is a doable thing or whether we're aware that it would be suicidal, and that's what got us, you know, 2 of our members killed the last time. Rumours of fierce monster have made people worried as well as ready. This is interesting because the previous beast, this layer up here that we had, ends on round 8, at the end of round 8, which is what we're on now, campaign round 8. So that one's going to disappear. So I need to go to 184 to find out what this particular aberration is. 184. Should be a little table around here. So I'd like to score something fairly low, because if we do, I might actually be able to do this. Difficult to say. If I roll 1 to 8, I would be asked to kill an ogre, and that might actually be doable at this point. But another demon, and I'm just telling the guy, look, I love you to bits, and you were my first friend in the area, and we would love to, but we lost 2 people to this. Other members of the warband were wounded. We're just not powerful enough to face them yet, but we'll see. So 26. A golem. Slay Beast. Golem. I'm not ruling this out, actually. Although its toughness is insane again. Yeah, the more I look at it, the more I think I bloody well am ruling this out. Okay, well, let's see how long this quest would last, because if we can, I don't want to say no to a friend, but I really am not powerful enough to take that on just yet. So let me just have a look. How long does this contract remain active for? Just have a group, kill beast, can't find it. I think it's Slay Beast actually, but Slay Beast, location, activity. Beast is upsetting the locals. You have 5 campaign turns to complete the job. Do you know what? Might be able to do it in 5 turns. Before end of campaign turn. Well, this is 8. So that'd be 13. So before campaign turn 13, so I'm going to need to place the layer marker. Now it can be anywhere. So I think it's probably going to be, well, he's probably seen it up there somewhere. I don't know, it might be further down towards where we are now. Let's put it in here. You notice I'm just dragging and dropping the previous layer markers, and the reason for that is simple enough. It's because, as I mentioned, at the end of this round, the previous layer disappears anyway, because the time limit on it's run out, which means somebody else has killed it. So somebody much more powerful than me, it would seem, has killed that demon that nearly wiped me out the last time. But in the meantime, the nomads have discovered that there is a golem harassing this kind of area, and one of the nomads has said, I know these powerful heroes with the heads of cats and savagery in their heart. They will be able to defeat this creature for us. They will be able to release us from the terror that is installing on the west side of the lake. I will send them a message. I happen to know where they're going because they told me before they left. So I will send a messenger to them. We get this message and we think, shit. Right, okay, well, it's a thing that we might have to face, but we know what happened the last time we fought one of these things. So we'll be talking about that probably for a good week or two. Should we go and try it? Should we risk it? We're certainly not going to try it right now. We've got until round 13 to deal with this one. So I'm just going to change the details on the map layer of the golem, and in the expires on 13, the end of 13, and it is golem, and I'll save that off for now. And we will check, is there anything else that we need to do before we are complete for this campaign turn. I think we are done. Just need to check where story points come in, but I'm going to do that off camera. I can always tell you what the results were if it's anything of interest. So yeah, 187, and we were on step 7, I think, wasn't it? The news travels, yes it was. Rolling down from step 7, we find, then we move straight into the next chapter, which is experience points. Adventure milestone. After making your flash of insight rolls, what flash of insight rolls? Oh right, okay, followers. So yeah, that doesn't happen. Loot we did. Just checking to see if there's any other adventure milestones or anything else at all. So I don't want to miss a step I should have taken, because that did happen once early in the campaign. No, I'm not seeing anything else coming up, so I think it is safe. Oh wait a minute, enemy plans. Various points during the gameplay you may be directed to the enemy plans table. Well, we weren't, so we don't need to worry about that. So just want to make it to the end. Victory and defeat. That's overall in the campaign. So no, that's us. That's us done. So all we really need to do is check up on the quest. We've completed the first part of the quest. I think that will do us for this evening. I think we'll draw the curtains there. So Ekanaths Panthers have successfully retrieved their first quest item, and a message from our friend about this terror that he's begging us to deal with. We're really too frightened to right now, but we'll think about it anyway. We also of course need to check on what we do next in this quest, but for now we're tired. A couple of us have minor injuries that we're licking our wounds from. We're going to camp down for the night, and we will see you all next week for campaign turn 9, which will begin in our next episode, and I will tell you if there's any further things on the quest that you need to know about at that point. So do stay safe, take care, but from me and from Ekanath Panthers, for now, good night.